Great, great. Is it okay? Okay, great, great. Is the screen, is everything looking okay?
The person on the left hand side is showing a bit more. But if you can just move that person on the left a little bit to the left so that they are out of the frame. Or if you are next to that.
Okay, I think this should be this is the best you can do. This is the best you can do. Are we okay? Are we good on that? Good. 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 All right, good.
Welcome, guests in person and online. Welcome to the Ghana Pavilion 2024 Global South Arts and Health Week. Applause, please. Welcome. I am with me, Julia Ernest, your host.
My name is Jude Bridger. I'm also your host, and
We will be your hosts for today.
Welcome through the rain and the difficulties that come with moving around in a crowd and everything. So we're really grateful. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Yes, so now we will start with the prayer.
Is Margot with us? She isn't. Do we have any volunteer here who would like to give us a very brief emphasis on very brief opening prayer? Okay. A round of applause for Dr. Nalaba.
He says, I have been Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for our lives, our families, friends, and loved ones. We pray for committing today's event into your hands. We pray that you may blessing to us all in the name of Jesus. And we pray for thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you for sticking to brief.
Okay, loosen up, guys. Loosen up. Get curious. We're about to go on a beautiful journey of interesting conversations and theatrical performances. So, speaking up, let's turn our attention to the screen and reflect on the past week.
Look ourselves our time next week.
It's not to do anything creative, it's really engage the whole brain function, most of the brain function, and it's really helps initiating new cells. This is not only protect your memory from dementia, it also improve your cognition. It also improve your sense of well-being, and it has a
The Gsahw Arts and Health Week is more than just a festival.
It's a unique opportunity for education, dialogue, and reflection on some very important topics. So, moving on to the next item for today, we would like to invite two incredible ladies who have been pivotal to the formation and organization of this important celebration. The first who will come up is the Associate Country Festival Director for the Gsahw Week. That is Dr. Nana Abakobi. Please give her a round of applause.
Doris Hola, who is the Country Festival Director for the Gsahw. Come on, give it up for them. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Once again, thank you for taking time to be here with us. So, a recap of the subject what we're going to have today. We're first going to have an engagement, mental health engagement activity. Then we will have an autism talk, and then we will have a theatrical performance by the students from the School of Performing Arts of the University of Pavilion. Then we will have a time exchange and panel discussion moderated by our very own envoy, Dr. Then we will go on to theatrical performances again by the students from the School of Performing Arts of the University of Pavilion. And then from essential reproductive health panel. Yes, and that's a wish we will have some breaks, definitely. We will have some break in between, and then have some time for interactions and conversations, and we also spotlight our collaborators. So I think that is when we have today's event and much more. So please sit tight and enjoy the event. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming. My name is Doris Komla. I have the privilege of being the Country Festival Director for Global South Arts and Health Week. That's why I'm in the room. So let me do a quick brief intro about Global South. The Global South Arts and Health Week is an Olympic-like event happening across all the countries in the southern part of the globe. So that's Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And the goal of Global South is just to use arts as an intervention tool for health and well-being. That's the basics. And then for this year specifically, we decided to focus on health beyond medicine for the Global South here in Ghana. That's the Ghanaian Pavilion. So you are in the sixth day of the festival. It started from one day. The first 3 days were workshops where we had, the first one was on stroke. We had a stroke workshop and then an unveiling of arts exhibition that works with majorly themed around stroke issues in Ghana. Let me ask a quick rundown here. How many of you know that stroke is the number one killer disease of Ghanaians today? Honestly, your hands. Can I see? Show of hands. Anybody? Interesting. Oh yes. At least somebody knows. I didn't know, so you're not even. But I'm just trying to say to you that this is why we have to touch on that. And then the second day was on autism, where we touched on the different challenges and the issues that those who have children with autism face in Ghana, the things we could do to help them. It was a very interesting one. Then day 3 was also focusing on caregivers for stroke. So for stroke caregivers, you know what it means to take care of someone for like indefinitely. Nobody knows for sure when you'll be well, if you'll be well. So it was a very sensitive discussion as well. And then day 4 was a sit on things. Day 5 was the screening at Jamestown. We had a very interesting screening at Jamestown. And then, of course, day 6, which is the closing ceremony of the festival, is where we are in today. So thank you again for coming. I look forward to connecting, look forward to hearing a lot from you. Much more than that, we also hope that you're inspired by the things that you're hearing in the room today. It's going to be an intense, especially the theater. Let me just kind of like, see, if you need call us and let us know ahead of time. It's going to be an intense time, but it's also going to be worth the while, I promise. Thank you again, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Doris.
Thanks, Doris. It's a real pleasure to.
As we move on to the next video from the World Health Organization, we trust that you'll find it successful. Thank you.
With you virtually in Accra. Hello, everyone. It's been quite a while since I was in Accra myself. I was there a number of years ago as part of the mobilization for the West African Ebola outbreak, where Accra was the staging area for a lot of our relief efforts. So I got to know it pretty well, and I'm very fond of it. It's a pleasure to at least virtually be connected with you. I'm very excited about the activation that Ghana is doing in arts and health right now, and particularly its themes of helping stroke victims and as well as interventions to help support people on the autism spectrum. Those are 2 areas that we're very much interested in Geneva and as part of the Geneva Arts and Health Lab, which I'm a co-founder and co-director of. I think one of the things about stroke that is important, and all non-communicable diseases, is that it gets, I think, to the heart of health. In our 1947 WHO Constitution, health is not merely the absence of disease and infirmity, but the attainment of the highest level of physical, mental, and social well-being. So it's more than just the absence of a disease. It's about being the best human that you can be. And when we particular activation is supporting autistic people, and I have a story about that. When I was working in a theater company, I did a number of years ago a production of Frankenstein, the classic novel. And when I auditioned, I got a lot of people coming in who did, when they were auditioning for the creature, did variations of the famous creature from the movies, the sort of lumbering monster. And there was one young man from Zimbabwe, his name was Gsahw, who gave the most wild audition. And instead of a lumbering creature, it was almost like a wild dog. And it was absolutely fascinating and mesmerizing to watch. So of course I cast him because it was so unique, it was so unusual. And I asked him actually in the audition, have you ever read a novel? Have you ever seen any movies? And he said no. So it was a completely unique invention. So after I cast him, and I was talking to him on the phone, he hesitantly said, there's something I have to tell you. And I said, what is it? And he said, I'm autistic. I don't know that I can do this. I need to tell you up front. And I said, okay, well, why don't we try it and take this journey together? And sure enough, over the course of the rehearsal period, I began to learn a little bit about his life. He was nonverbal for many years. He was misdiagnosed as a child, and in many ways had shut himself off from society, and had a deep worry that was his inability to read emotions, a limitation of being able to interpret emotions, or did he simply not have the emotions? And this was something that bothered him quite a bit. And one of the reasons why he was drawn to audition for a play was to find out if this was something that he could actually do, because it was at the heart of what it means to be autistic. And from a director's point of view, I had to assume both and support both, because I don't know what's actually going on in his head. And during the course of the rehearsal process, I noticed at a few points the autism came front and center. There was one stage direction where the creature was supposed to look into the mate's eyes, the female creature's eyes, and Gsahw couldn't do it. He wasn't following the stage direction. And I stopped the scene and I said, what's wrong? And he says, well, it's a symptom of autism. I can't look at people in the eyes. I don't know what to do. He was getting a little bit upset because he thought that he was failing. And I said, well, why don't you try to look into her eyes and fail, and let's see what happens. And sure enough, he did, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. And when the performance finally got up on the stage, the audience saw it, and they noticed that there was something unusual about this creature that he created, but they couldn't quite put their finger on it. They didn't know that it was at all related to the autism. It became its own authentic personal creation that was real moment to moment and filled with life and spirit and artistic expression. It was quite a remarkable performance. Then during the run of the show, at one of the intermissions, someone came up to me and identified himself as Gsahw's doctor and asked me if I was the director, and I said yes. And he said, what did you do? And I said, what do you mean, what did I do? And he said, for years, he's been living with his mother. He hasn't engaged in society. And now, through this rehearsal process, he's living by himself, he's doing his own errands, he's become almost fully independent. What did you do? And I said, I didn't do anything. I just simply supported his choices and allowed him to express himself. And I think that gets down to the heart of the healing power of the arts. I always go back to a touchstone quote from Carl Jung, who was a Swiss psychologist, who once said, Loneliness is not the absence of people. Loneliness is the inability to express what matters to you most. And through creative expression, through the theater, Tanasha was able to express what mattered to him most. And so I encourage all of you in this event to fully and with pleasure and with hope express what matters to you at the deepest level. Share it with each other and enjoy your thriving lives and build a community that will stay with you for the rest of your lives. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the videos, and we hope you learned something from it as you watched.
There is a popular myth that deeply disturbed people are the only ones that have mental illness. I'm sure you've heard the story of the madman who stole somebody's clue, and when the man started chasing the madman, now both of them looked like mad people. But there's a deeper frustration that led that man to be chasing a madman. His head was hot. So next up, we have Andrew Allen. He is a pharmacist and a environmental and wellness enthusiast. So he's passionate about wellness and he's passionate about wellness. And so we invite Andrew Allen to talk to us. Can we give him a round of applause?
I'm not going to be this long, and thank you so much for that passionate introduction. As you mentioned, my name is Andrew Allen, and I'm a pharmacist by profession. And I also happen to be the founder of Pavilion Lifestyle, which is a preventive health startup. If you're not familiar with the word Pavilion, it's a Gsahw word, and it means strength or wellness. And I started this company to essentially help Ghanaians and individuals of all ages achieve great health, whether that's battling chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes, or simply achieving weight loss. I think our flyers are around with the ashes. If you want to know more about that, you implement some actions. Today I'm here to talk about mental wellness and mental health and how we can use games in this nice thing as well to essentially help us achieve mental health and mental wellness. Before I go further, I want us to establish a baseline. What is health? Now, the World Health Organization, that's WHO, defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Now, I think for most of us, when we are thinking about health, we look at one side of this definition or another aspect. We don't look at the absence of disease or infirmity. So, I don't have a headache today, I'm not feeling any pain in my body, so I'm healthy. Or we look at our physical health. I presume we all woke up today, we took a shower, we brushed our teeth, we ate breakfast, and we assume that I'm doing things for my physical health. We don't really pay much attention or give much intentionality to the other aspects, that's the mental health aspect and the social aspects. And that's what I want to speak about today. There's a deep need for us to be more intentional about our mental and social well-being. What does this look like? What is mental wellness? What is mental health? It's important for us to know how we can relate to people, how we deal with stress. Today was very heavy. How do we respond to our plans we made from the days before about how we're going to get here? How do we adapt to changing circumstances? How do we adapt to things life throws at us? How do we relate? How do we recognize our strengths and our weaknesses? Now, I want to share a few facts I found in preparing for this presentation about how games can help us in boosting our mental health and mental wellness. Now, the first fact, and I'm sure most of you have played games, the first fact I found was on board games. Now, board games have been found to help reduce stress and anxiety in people of all ages. Now, board games like chess, checkers, ludo, monopoly, you name it. All these games have been found to help people reduce stress and anxiety. And not just that, in the elderly, board games have been found to help stave off and lower the rates of dementia. Dementia is a chronic condition that affects the body and affects their memory, so it affects their ability to remember things and collect things and remember people. So that's fact number one. Now, fact number two, outdoor games and outdoor exercises like football, like tennis, like basketball. Personally, a Manchester United fan. I don't know if you have any other football fans. Well, lucky. Today I went to play City, probably squads, but I have football. One squads. So, yes, outdoor games also tend to help us establish social connections, which is good for both our social well-being and our mental well-being. Not only that, they also help with stress and anxiety. And games in general, whether it's puzzles, whether it's card games like Uno, what they like to call Spa, or regular games like Owari, Ludo, Snake, and other. All these games have been found to help with depression, anxiety, boosting cognitive skills as well, and many more benefits. Now, I don't want to bore you all. I know it's a cold morning, you're tired, try to put together. So, now for you to get the benefits we derive from games, I want us to play a game. Can we do that?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Okay. So I want us to be a bit limber. So today's game is simple. The rules are very simple. I like to call it catch the question. Okay. So for today's game, the rules are simple. So I have this ball here. I'm going to toss the ball to someone. When I toss the ball to you, I want to ask you a question. What I want you to do is to introduce yourself. Let's say, my name is Andrew, and you answer the question. So I may ask you a question like, name a country that starts with the letter G. You can say Ghana. Or I may ask you a question like, name an animal that starts with the letter B. You can say bat. Now, when I toss the ball to you and you catch it, and you answer the question, you toss the ball to someone else, and the audience. I want you to pass through, I think I'm not too really, you should pass through behind you. I think that'll be fun. Before it comes back to me. Can we do that? Yeah. Can we do that? Awesome. Okay, so who wants to get this ball first? I want someone who can catch. Okay. So if you can't answer the question, you can talk to someone who knows the answer, or talk to someone and ask the person the question. Remember, introduce yourself first. Okay, are we ready? Okay, so I'm just going to go with it. Whoever catches it, answer the first question. Please. Relax. Okay. I want one of the girls to catch one. Lovely. So I want you to name a country that starts with C.
Eunice and Canada.
Okay, so Canada. That's where the is from, right? Okay, so mention your name and then you ask another question. No, so you're supposed to ask a question. You're supposed to mention an answer.
I want an animal with the letter, that's with the letter.
Animal that starts with D.
My name is Saida.
Cider. Okay, so talk to someone and ask them a question. so answer the question.
A plant that starts with the letter
A what?
plant.
Plant. The plant that starts with B.
Yes.
Okay, the plant that starts with B. If you don't know the answer, you can talk to someone who knows the answer. Bamboo, lovely. Okay, and your name please.
Me.
Me says bamboo. So me answer the question, tell the ball. Please, everyone knows catch the ball, so don't dodge. Okay, so answer the question. It could be an animal, country.
Any lovely Ghanaian artist.
Hi, my name is Gsahw. Crystal was
Some
a
actress.
lovely Ghanaian actress that I know.
Wow. We'll have you do some acting for us later. So talk about it, answer my question. Oh, he's smart, man. Talk about asking a question. Or talk to anyone at all. Okay.
Your name and your favorite play. My name is Abdul Karim. Favorite play is Black Mulata.
Black
Mulata.
Black molasses. Okay. So talk about someone and ask them a question. Okay, so ask them any question.
What's your highlights in the week so far?
Okay, my name is Solomon, and I mean, okay, let me get this straight. That's what I call.
Yeah.
First, I've had a very busy week, both stressing me out of stuff.
Okay, so talk about someone and ask them a question. It would be a country that starts with D, animal that starts with Q. So ask them a question. So a question for her. Can be a country that starts with the letter T.
Okay. Country that starts with the letter C.
The other countries. Cambodia, okay, so no Cambodia, okay. That's my vibe right there. Okay. Your favorite Okay, your name, please.
Okay, I'm Prince. My favorite, how can we not? I haven't come to
That's what she does.
everyone. Wait.
It's deep. Okay, we're right out of time, so I think we'll just pass the toss to two more podcasts.
Don't see no you can count.
That's when you can
Count.
okay, so toss it to another person. Let's not come to this side a lot. Let's come to this side.
Hello.
Yeah.
Ready?
She's ready, she's ready. She's practically believing in. Oh, okay. Yes. Your name and ask her.
Okay. Your name and a country starting with letter Y.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm Pat. I don't know what Yemen or.
Yemen, okay.
Alright. Okay, I need to.
One more person.
What's here?
So ask her the question.
Okay, so my question would be what is the name of your favorite movie?
Favorite movie. Your name, please.
Okay, I'm Victoria from the South.
So that's it. Problem child. Okay, alright. So Victoria, back to you. You can ask the question as well.
Okay.
Make it easy.
What's your favorite?
My favorite movie. Food. Oh, no, there's easy guy. My name is Andrew. My favorite food is cocoa soup. Anyway, so one thing happened whilst we were playing the game today. If you notice, all of you were focused on the game. I'm sure we were anticipating the kind of question we're going to be asked, whether the ball was going to come to you, who was going to ask you what kind of question, how you're going to answer, whether you're going to ask you a hard question, a difficult question. That's the benefit we all derive from games. It helps us to focus, it helps us with our attention. And we don't lose these benefits outside of games. As we grow older, sometimes we get brain fog, we're not able to focus our attention on things. Games help us in terms of focus, and we are able to focus on task selection better. Outside that, as all of you mentioned means, and I'm sure of the club, we should be able to mention at least the names of 3 people here. I'm sure the MC will have an easier job going forward. Games help us to make social connections. So I know we have Gsahw, I know we have Pat, we have Sadia, we have so many, we have Prince. Off the top of my head, I can mention the names of many people in this room. That's a benefit to derive from games. It helps us to make social connections and bond with people. It creates that enabling environment that helps us to achieve more. We are not meant to live on our own, we are not islands on our own. Our brain needs these social connections. And people who are lonely or people who are isolated, these social connections helps keep them away from depressive episodes. 4 years ago, the Lord was hit with something, and I'm sure you all know it. The Lord fell into the COVID pandemic. Now, during this time, many people were cut off from families, were cut off from society. Personally, there was a time where I bonded more with my family. I found myself playing all kinds of games with my family, from Lulu or Barbie, Jenga, all kinds of things. And I saw different sides of my family that I had never seen before. Now, if you're a parent here and you have a teenage daughter or a son or a child, a young child that you're not able to reach, you're not able to connect with, games are one way you can connect with children easier. Outside that, you can also use games to connect with your peers, make new social connections. Games also help us to identify our strengths. I mentioned I like football, right? When you're playing football, you identify which position is your strength, whether you're a defender, a midfielder, or an attacker. And games help you identify, okay, even if I'm not good on the pitch, I can be good as a coach. Even if I'm not good as a coach, I may be good at tactics. By identifying these little strengths, we can apply them in other areas of our lives. Games also help us with little wins that we may not be getting in other areas of life. When you are playing, how many of you game? You can play when you are losing and losing streak, and all of a sudden you get 1-6, 2-6, 3-6, 4-6. There's no better feeling in the world, I'm telling you. All of a sudden it feels like your life has changed for the better. You understand? And these small wins have a positive effect on our life, not just related to the game, but they secrete hormones in our body that make us feel happier. I'm going to conclude because we don't have much time. In the US, there's a game that has been licensed by their Food and Drugs Authority, their FDA, for kids that have been diagnosed with ADHD, that's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now, parents have to pay up to $100 a month for this game. The game is called Endeavor X. It is essentially like a prescription that parents pay for their kids with ADHD. This game has been found to help kids with ADHD. This just goes to highlight the power of games. We have games for free. So if you didn't get anything, or you didn't get anything from this meeting, play more games. Thank you. My name is Andrew.
Games spark joy. And he also talked about social support. You know, suicide is less likely when a person is connected to family or friends. And so we should take this very seriously. Thank you so much, Mr. Adam, for that. Give it up for him one more time.
All right. So we'd like to invite Doris to do a quick introduction to take us to the next step of the program. Please give Doris one.
I'm wondering why I don't wait for, like, you know, that red carpet sway into, I'm like rushing always, you know, the Lagos spirit, like, fast, we need to get here. Anyway, so you will be hearing from our global development leads. Like I said, we are a global body and we have not worked alone. We've been mentored, we've been guided, and would like to hear some, you know, message of wisdom from the global development lead. And then after that, then a quick snippet about what we did this during the festival, just one of the things, so you can just have a look and feel of what it was like. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. I'm very excited to join all of you. My name is Ole Adewale, the Global Development Lead and Curator of the Global South Art and Health Week, also the founder and the Executive Director of the Global Art and Medicine Fellowship Program. Very excited to join all of you sitting in the beautiful city of Accra, Ghana, and also across regions in Ghana as well. During its second edition of the Global South Art and Health Week happening in Ghana, Ghana Pavilion 2024. The team health being medicine. One thing, the incredible team that have been driving the wonderful engagement and the entire preparation to ensure that continuous artistic engagement, creativity is paid for in terms of how we care for people, whether in the community, whether in the hospital, whether in hospices, wherever we find ourselves. There's several empirical evidence that actually, suggests that, engagement in arts really kind of improve the quality of life of people, whether it has to do with cancer, or it has to do with stroke, or it has to do with, other health conditions. And using art, really brings light to people who are really dealing with difficulties in their lives, dealing with difficulties in their journey, dealing with difficulties in their home, in their family. The art is actually a portal for healing. The art is actually a sanctuary for healing. And being involved in art making really provide a gateway, a window of escape even from stress, from anxiety, from limitations that really affect our well-being. And the art really exposes us to light, and the light that brings joy and happiness and healing into our souls. Various artistic engagement, whether it has to do with transformation of hospital rooms, beautiful murals within the hospital space, or music, or dance movement, or guided meditation, or even writing, or even walking around the park, gardening. All of these and many other creative engagement are being proven to really improve our health, and of course that's making it a health behavior, and being involved in art making really changes modes, really put us in a better place, help us to have clarity of focus, and helps us to be able to really be able to navigate, things that sometimes we can't really even find a way around. So art making is a navigation tool to help us to arrive at a beautiful place of joy, of self-fulfillment, of accomplishment, of our self-growth. So art making is a navigating tool to help us arrive at a destination of joy, and joy is progressive. And that's why sometimes we also say that art making really invites us into a journey, and that journey is a journey of self-discovery and self-awareness and self-recovery. And not just the self-discovery, but also self-recovery. Sometimes life situation will make us lose ourselves. But I think acting can help to restore us back to who we are, not as patients, but as humans, and humans with dignity, and humans with talent, and humans with intelligence. And then so, in the setting of Global South Africa Pavilion, I hope that it will not just be a setting of self-awareness and self-discovery, it will also be a setting of self-recovery, recovery of your health, recovery of your well-being, recovery of all the quality things you have lost in your life due to life challenges, mental health problems, stress, anxiety, and other health conditions that we can't really mention. So I hope you continue to use that as a navigation tool, self-discovery, and self-recovery. I believe very strongly it is a wide range of activities that have been really, planned and advocated for all. I encourage all of you to be, involved, to participate, whether it's in civil paint, whether it's in conversation on autism, or conversation on stroke management, or conversation on personal well-being, or maternal health, or child health, and all these programs really attest to how we continue to deliberate, advocate, and create rules and open doors for more conversations, and invite stakeholders, various stakeholders and professionals who are really working in this field to collaborate and see how they can continue to further advance the role of art and creativity in our well-being in Ghana and beyond as well. So, I want to thank all of you once more for being involved in this beautiful episode of Global South Art in Health Week. That is it from me. So, on behalf of all the people directors of the Global South Art in Health Week, we want to congratulate Ghana and the entire team and the stakeholders for this year event. We hope to maximize every segment of it that has been designed to help lift the spirit of the Ghanaian people.
the founder and CEO of JA Consultancy and also the Program Director for Gsahw Academy, a neurodiversity centre opening soon in Accra. I am really excited to be here today to talk about autism and its impact on parents, but also to hear from the people that are here in the field doing the work that they are doing with children and families and the difference that they're making in the lives of those families. So I'm really good to be here.
My name is Dr. Emmanuel. I am a medical doctor at Family Health Hospital. Also affiliated with the same at a psychiatric hospital. And I'm excited to be at this call today. I am hoping that we'll be able to discuss autism and various art therapies that can help children and young people with autism cope better with the condition and also create more awareness about the condition.
Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Abdulsan. I am an advocate for autism, the founder of a charity called Unique Voices, and our aim is to help mothers raising kids on the spectrum.
Thank you very much. When you're trying to communicate something and you're just using text of words, it's usually not that relatable. But when you bring a performance in there, it really brings and breathes life into it. So the next thing that's on our agenda today is a performance on climate change from the University of Ghana Theatre students. Can you please give them a round of applause?
The performance you're about to witness was directed by Dr. Abdul Kareem Hakeem.
The stage is yours.
Hey, Auntie Sophia, it's been a while. But you're looking good, though.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. How have you been?
I'm fine.
And how is your husband? Your husband? What's again? Tell me, you know your friend.
I don't know what is wrong with my husband. And all this year, his colleagues are selling climate change and making huge sums of money.
Selling climate change.
I'm telling you my frustration.
Hey,
you are laughing. If you are not interested, please let me go. I don't like what you are doing.
I'm listening. Just talk.
As I said, his colleagues are selling climate change and making huge sums of money. But as for my husband, he's not interested in selling it at all. His friend Honorable Rocks, the DC for Concrete District, I heard he has built houses by selling climate change. But as for my husband, he doesn't want to do the same. Even yesterday, he had a meeting with his friends. They were discussing climate change. But he just doesn't want to listen to me. Everywhere I pass in this country, the marketplace, church, bus stops, even when I drop my children at school, all I hear is climate change, climate change, climate change. I don't know why my husband doesn't want to solve climate change. I'm tired, I've done everything possible.
Auntie Sophia, climate change is not a commodity. We don't sell climate change.
See how selfish you are. How selfish you are. You're not selling climate change and but you don't want my husband to sell climate change. I didn't even come here for you, please. Excuse me, I came here to look for his friend. Hey, honorable friends, please can I speak to you?
What is it?
Please, it's Gsahw. Where are your friends? Call them. I'm very scared.
Honorable Lee, where is Honorable Ross?
Please, they should hurry up.
Focus. What is it?
I'm living here.
I'm worried. I'm so worried.
Talk to us. What is it?
Can you imagine? My husband, his colleagues are selling climate change and making huge sums of money. But he doesn't want to listen. I've tried my possible best convincing this man. He just doesn't want to listen to me. So today, I came here so that you all help me convince my husband.
You want your husband to sell climate change?
Yes.
Hey! You see, climate change is not a commodity. We don't sell it and make money.
No.
And build houses are what your husband to do.
Honorable. Are you sure?
Very sure.
Then what is climate change?
So far, climate change is the long-term shift in temperature and weather patterns. Don't get confused. Let me break it down for you. Just imagine you are in a room, feeling so cold, so you decide to cover your body with some blanket. And then you top it up with another, you top it up again with another, and you add on another. You begin to feel warmer and warmer under the sheet, you begin to sweat, and then you start to feel uncomfortable and it gets unbearable. That is the state in which the world is in right now. And our atmosphere and our environment has been polluted to such an extent that life has become so unbearable. And it's sometimes caused by natural phenomena. But since the 1800s, human activities have been the driving forces behind climate change.
Human activities or not?
Yes.
What are some of the human activities that causes climate change?
Also, they are going on all around you. Example, burning of fossil fuels like oil, gas, and coal, which causes heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere, and indiscriminate cutting down of trees, fumes from cars which are being emitted into the atmosphere, and our very own popular dancing.
So are you trying to say that Auntie Nancy's husband and friend that been cutting down trees to make charcoal is also a cause of climate change?
Exactly my point.
And my grandfather's
Is that troublesome?
his old antique car that's been driving around, releasing fumes into the atmosphere. It's also a cause of climate change.
Now you get the point.
And Auntie Sophia, not only these examples are causes of climate change, there are also activities that aid climate change to happen. Example, building houses without trees, as seen in our towns now, choke gutters that leads to flood, and building in water parks.
Yes, that is very true. And this is why you see there is this heating now. I'm not sure who invited it, but I'm invited it. I can't stay in my room at night. During daytime when I want to go to my activities, it is even worse.
Yes. The worst part is the high electricity bills to come with. Because of the heat, I have to leave my AC on for a very long time. Not only that, there is water scarcity. The rivers and streams in our villages are dried up due to evaporation.
That is very true. You see, we are even in the month of May. Ideally, it's supposed to be raining frequently, but it is not. And when it rains sometimes, it is very excessive. Everywhere. Like, I'm so fire, I believe you go to the market.
I do not.
Did you notice something unusual in the market?
Yes, honorable.
What is it?
Foodstuffs have become very expensive. Very expensive.
And you know, this is not just because of the runaway. Whether we catch it or not, that is but what I'm trying to say is that you see, because of lack of rain, there are foodstuffs that needs a lot of rain to germinate. And because of that, those kind of foodstuffs are very scarce in the market. The ones available, you can't even buy them.
They're selling 3 tomatoes for 10 cedi.
For an infant.
These are some of the effects of the causes on our works mentioned. And the effects of these causes are many. Recent research by the EPA clearly shows that temperature continues to rise. Rainfall totals are declining, and even when it rains, it is excessive. Sea levels are rising, even though Ghana in their research has developed a number of climate change adaptation policies. We continue to experience drought implement and are exposed to health issues.
Health issues?
Yes, health issues.
Don't be afraid, because there is adaptation plan.
Adaptation plan?
Oh, yes.
What is that?
Oh, adaptation plan. They are simply mechanisms that have been put in place to minimize the impact of climate change on the livelihoods of individuals and the society.
And there is another thing called short-term adaptation plans. You know, they are district policies and sectors policies that have not integrated or mainstream climate change issues effectively. Most of these interventions so far have been reactionary.
Thank you. You see, this is very true. But it is important to know that the EPA has come up with what is called the Ghana National Adaptation Plan, popularly known as the NAP framework. Now, the NAP framework has been developed to outline Ghana's vision, principle, and strategy for the medium to long-term adaptation plan.
impressively said, my brother.
Oh, yeah.
Permit me to add this before we end. The relevance of the long-term adaptation plan at the national level and sub-national level. Trust me, there are so many sectors in Ghana that are affected by climate change. And Ghana's agriculture sector, for instance, employs 50% of Ghana's population. 50%. And guess what? Climate change threatens the livelihoods of everyone. I mean, every single individual in that sector.
Do you know 62% of the population you are talking about are women, and their lives depend solely on agriculture. Because of these harsh weather conditions, their crops are not germinating for them to sell and get money to cater for their children.
This is very sad. And not these people alone. Trust me, there are other people in other sectors that are facing the same issues. Sectors including health, energy, water, tourism, arts, and so on. As such, honorable members, it is very imperative, very, very important that we integrate the long-term adaptation plan at the national level and sub-national level, which I believe will be the key to secure the socio-economic development of our country.
That is it. Thank you very much for speaking to the truth. See, adding up to what he just said, the NAP framework is going to employ the resources and energies from all sectors in the fight against climate change by planning properly. It is also going to highlight the differences between climate adaptation and development. And it is also not going to be done in a standalone fashion.
Not at all.
Yes, not at all. It is going to be a collaboration between the EPA and the National Development Planning Commission. They are going to coordinate it at the national, sub-national, and even in the private sectors.
And that is why we are all here. Because whether we like it or not, climate change has come to stay. We are here to learn ways we can adapt into this situation, so that when we leave from here, everyone can also extend the education to anyone at all. Thank you very
And this heat is fueling economic heat. It's a very, very serious matter. We've had the conversation standing up, and I think it's time to sit down and invite an expert to have a critical conversation about this. I would like to take this moment to invite Dr. Antwi Bosiako Amo to the stage. Thanks for joining us today. I think just the first question that we all want to know is, what's this climate change? How would you define it?
So I define it. Thanks so much. Anyway, my name is Gsahw from the Environmental Health Discussions. So when we say climate change, I think there are two levels. So we have the variability. And have the change. So the change, let me start with one. I think you understand it better. So in our basic education, we are told that weather is the atmospheric conditions that prevails at a place at a time. And so you have sunshine, you have rainfall, you have humidity, and so on. These things are happening at a particular time. So this morning, the trade is a weather condition. Now, when these weather variables are limited for a longer period, and they are showing a particular trend, this is what the change issue comes in. So climate change is a situation where climate variables have been monitored scientifically for a longer period, and they're showing trends, and normally it's a minimum of 30 years. The variability is the short-term aspect of these trends that we're talking about. So what happens this year and the last year? If you look at what happened this year and the last year, is there a difference? Are there variations between the conditions last year, this year, or 5 years ago? But when we talk about change, we have monitored these sustainability for the country.
Thank you for that answer. So we have climate and then we have how it's changing over time because of the trends. And from the performance, we heard the thing about causes. They mentioned some. But in the Ghanaian context, which causes would you say are the dominant one?
So we have been monitoring the emissions within the Ghana context. There have been arguments that globally our emissions as a country doesn't match anything because we're a third country. And internally, there are four main sectors that, if you want to assess climate, per the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC categorization, you look at. So you look at waste sector. So the waste, because there are some gases that are found within the waste sector, mainly methane gas, that cause greenhouse gas emission. So that is one sector. There's energy sector. So the energy sector includes transportation. So you have energy production, distribution, and use. And then you have transportation. All of them come together as one sector. So now we have the sectors. The third sector has to do with industry. So we call it IPP, industrial processes and product use. So industry also emits a lot of different gases. And so if you want to assess emissions, you have to also look at this sector. So this is the third sector. And the fourth sector has to do with what we call agriculture, forestry, and other land use. And so activities like deforestation, cutting down trees, farming, application of fertilizers, and so on and so forth, happen on the land sector. And these sectors also have it. So in Ghana's assessment, the land sector and the energy sector are interchangeable. In one assessment, the energy sector tops. But in the other assessment, you see the land sector. So depending on the deforestation rates, the land can overtake the energy sector. So this has been the trend in Ghana.
So waste, energy, industry, and land are the four main sectors. I like how you mentioned the waste part.
Yes.
And the methane, because I know the fires have been happening in the markets
Sure.
and the landfills is because of the methane gas.
And the interesting about that one is the fact that not everybody cries, and everybody generates. Who is here that doesn't generate waste? Everybody. And so everybody is a contributor on that particular side.
Okay, this feeds into the next question, because the next question is asking about us as humans, our activities. Again, they touched on it, but I want to also hear your opinion. Our activities that we don't know are fueling this climate change crisis.
I think there are several activities that we are undertaking that are fueling. So I'll categorize them into climate stresses and the non-climate stresses. Some of them are highly connected to the climate hazards, which is the rainfall, the temperatures, and so on and so forth. So we drive, we emit, depending on the type of fuel you're using, as they mentioned, you're producing greenhouse gas. You use a refrigerator, air conditioners. Some of them have gas that are also causing climate change or global warming, which is actually. We farm. So a farmer there might think that, oh, I am not part. But depending on the activity on the farm, they slash, they burn. Even if I'm not even applying inorganic fertilizer, I cut, I burn. So I'm also what? Emitting. On top of it, a lot of them these days, because most of these soils have lost nutrients, they apply inorganic fertilizers different types, which is a bigger source of nitrous oxide, which is one of the longest scaling greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. Greenhouse gas, nitrous oxide, can be in the atmosphere for a minimum of 150 years once it's finally subdued. And so farming is one of them. Deforestation, cutting down trees, is very important because trees perform photosynthesis. actually absorb carbon from the atmosphere. Once they absorb, they store in the mass of the tree. And if nobody disturbs it, it can stay there for a number of years. And so these trees are accumulating, or we call them sinks. And so once you cut the tree and you bend it or you process it in any form, you're releasing back the carbon that has been stored for years back into the atmosphere. So if you're a fish smoker and you're smoking fish and you're using biomass, you're also contributing to so the problem sources are many. There are other activities that we are doing that are not climate itself. And because the climate variables are happening in recent time very fast, rainfall, temperatures, and so on. When these variables occur, these activities that we are doing facilitate the process, the impact. We call it exacerbate. So it increases it more than normal. What are some of them? Building in waterways, especially filling wetlands to construct filling stations, houses, and so on and so forth. Wetlands, by their nature, like when it rained this morning, you find yourself with like 3 or 4 different wetlands around. They play a very important role because the runoffs will be soaked up and then they will be trapped by this land. Gradually, they will dissipate this into the ground and then redistribute it for the natural regeneration. But because now these wetlands are no more, when it rains, where will the rains go? The water will be collected in our homes, in our offices, and places that they can find themselves. So that is one. Another important thing that we are doing today that we are not knowing that we are causing harm is the fact that we are constructing, because we are living in heat conditions, and every house today has these glasses that already the temperatures are high, and the liver blades have all been taken away, replaced with these glasses. And so when the temperatures are a little bit higher, it means you are accumulating, and that's what the gentleman is talking about, putting on a blanket, 1, 2, blanket, 3, and so on. So within this room, a lot of heat is trapped here. And so you have to compensate it by what? Either using a fan or air conditioning. And at some point in time, it's saturated, and so you can't even get it where you want it. There are little dumping of waste in drainage systems, blocking the waterways because somebody just collected the waste household, keeps it, waits when it's raining in the night, and then quickly dispose of this rain into the gutter, hoping that the rains will do the water away. But it's going to be short-term weathers. And give you a feedback that is going to be different. So there's so many things that we do.
I wish for young people in the audience we could do a put a finger down if you could, and we'll be able to see how each of us contributes to these problems. Now we've reflected on ourselves and how we contribute to these things. But I heard that mention the National Adaptation Program. Please explain it to us because we don't understand such things.
Okay, so in climate, the problem is already occurring. You can't stop it. You can do something about it. So there are 2 ways. You either mitigate or you are not. So the mitigation aspect has to do with what kind of things that you can do that will prevent the emissions of these gases into the atmosphere. Or a thing that will do that will be able to absorb these gases, we call it sequester, take them from the atmosphere and keep it. And this is where the trees are very important. So mitigation is any mechanism that is trying to avoid the emission of gases. Adaptation, on the other hand, as I mentioned, is the fact that because the impacts of climate change are happening today and are going to continue, we need to adjust our systems to be able to make sure that we can live with the impact of climate change. So we reduce to the barest minimum the impact of climate change. That is adaptation. So adaptation comes in different forms, depending on what you're doing. If you're a farmer, what kind of technologies, what kind of activities will you do or put in place to make sure that the production that is declining will help you to make sure you improve productivity. If you are living in a house that is so hot, what kind of adaptation mechanism will you put in place that will help you to live comfortably in your bedroom? Are you going to increase or expand the ventilation? Are you going to plant more trees around? Are you going to stop paving the house because the paves actually attract heat and redistribute them in the night. So adaptation comes in different forms. So the country is going through a number of adaptation mechanisms with different sectors. They mentioned at the sub-national and at the national level. The national levels are 7 key sectors. So energy, agriculture, water, transport, name them. So these are the sectors. And when you go down the sub-national level, we have MMDs, so metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. They also work through their medium-term plans. And so how can we work with these medium-term plans to be conscious of climate implications so that in developing this, because every 4 years they review these plans, they can be climate conscious to make sure that they put in place adaptation measures.
This education is very important for us to also contribute to this fight against climate change. And if we're going to focus on education, I think let's open the conversation to the audience. Does anybody have any questions, any curiosities that they want to throw to the doctor here?
I think you can have
Okay, thank you for the education opportunity. My name is Benjamin. So when it comes to burning of waste, I think a lot of households burn waste in our country. And I think you mentioned that contributes to climate change. What is a feasible solution in our part of the world that is cost effective, that can help to care the waste? And if it's read around shorter burning times and other things, so what solutions can you propose to people who burn waste and burn waste often? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the waste itself, we need to deep dive into the types. So there are different types of waste, even the solid one. Forget about the liquid waste. So with the solid waste portion in this country, a larger percentage of the solid waste are organic. So the foods, the food stamps, the remnants, and so on and so forth. So that's one category. We have other electronics, we have metals, and so we have papers, and so on and so forth. So the starting point is sorting the waste. And this is what is done everywhere else. The country that wants to progress in managing its waste. But you can't put all the waste together and manage it. So that would be the starting point. Put all papers on one side. And the papers are recycled to do something different. Put all the electronics on one side. Put all bottles on one side. Put all plastics on one side. And once they're able to do that, put all organic on the other side. Organic mainly can be scientifically managed to be composed, and then it can be used for compost fertilizer for our gardens if you want to do that, like or for those who are doing larger production of farming activities. So this is where the state comes in to support by putting up the needed infrastructure that the individuals can be used. The challenge in this country now is the right waste infrastructure, and then also the way these waste are collected. Assuming I want to stay in my house and be a good citizen, and then start these efforts. The organic problem, I can use it because I can compost and then do it back like that. What happens to the plastics? So the collector comes and then puts everything together again. It renders my effort useless. So will I be motivated to do it tomorrow? I won't do it. But if the structures allow for these household practices, then they come, they put bottles into bottles, plastics into plastics, and this and that. Then we can start from there. Fortunately for us, the people who are doing this unconventionally, the scavengers are doing part. Had they not been there, would have been in a very messy situation. But they are doing it just, what should it be? The state should be able to. When it comes to landfill site, in this country, everywhere that you see yourself, we are just dumping. They are not landfill sites. So we are just waste dumping. Landfill sites that are engineered are designed in such a way that gases are trapped, it doesn't come up. So the methane gas are collected for different purposes, either for generating electricity or doing something, or using to be cooking for school children, and so on and so forth. So I think we've been discussing this in different, even with the waste companies, some iron and leather companies. I think it's so this is where we are, and that's why I said a very good question, because it's one of the problematic sectors in this economy, and I don't know when we can be able to overcome this.
Thank you so much for that answer. There's so many questions. We want to know about Katamanto and how that plays into all of this, but we have run out of time. Thank you so much for your expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So up next, we will be having another roundtable discussion led by Jude with Justina. So put our hands together for Jude. Let's take this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Justina Gsahw, who is the founder and CEO of Gsahw Consultancy and also works with Sen Consultancy. So please invite her with a round of applause. Thank you for joining us today. We'll project for now until we get the microphones. All right. So could you please tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Justina Gsahw, and I am a wife, mother of 5, grandmother of 4. I am UK, British Ghanaian. So I was born in the UK to Ghanaian parents, and I've been coming back and forth to Ghana pretty much most of my life. And in recent times, I've actually established here. So I've been working with children and family, young people for 30 plus years now. And generally, my specialism area is around disability and inclusion, how to support children with special educational needs, how to work with families and supporting families and parents. A particular area of passion that I have is supporting parents to be advocates for their children, to making sure that their children get what they need. And so I made the decision to come to Ghana to share some of the experience that I've cultivated, but also to learn from the professionals and the practitioners in Ghana, because I think there's an opportunity for shared learning and growth. And Ghana is in an amazing position when it comes to inclusion, in looking at how it delivers that program. And I really want to be part of that change. I want to be part of that narrative, because I believe there's a lot we can do for our children who have additional needs.
Awesome. So I like the fact that you mentioned that you help parents become people who can actually empower their children with special educational learning needs, particularly on autism, for instance. What has been your experience in that?
Yeah, so in the area of autism, one of the things that's been really prevalent and consistent, whether it's the UK or it's in Ghana, is that there is a disconnect between what is available in terms of services and support and what is needed, and the role that parents play in that. And so part of my mission in work that I do is empowering parents to understand that they are the most powerful voice in their child's life, that their voice is valid. And despite the stigma that exists around autism, despite the misconceptions, the myths, the stereotypes, and the discrimination that exists, they are the people that will be able to speak up for their child the greatest and bring alongside professionals to help them in doing that, but also to hold professionals accountable and to hold schools accountable, because our children deserve to be educated and they deserve to be in a space that they can flourish. They deserve to be in a place where they can be celebrated, and having a label of autism should not remove all of those expectations from them. And so my passion is to empower parents to speak up for their children, to enable them to get what their children need.
Great. In terms of the Ghanaian community, how do you think the Ghanaian community responds to or perceives children with special needs?
So it's a really interesting one, because I think we have a culture in Ghana where we see children very differently to how we see them in the UK. And so within the Ghanaian culture, what my experience has shown is that children don't have a voice in the same way. They don't have the same kind of autonomy. They're not the centre of the planning and what's happening. And so therefore they experience things that are done to them and for them. Now when you don't comply, when you are a child that is not able to follow instructions in the same way and fit in and do what's expected of you for whatever reason, you will struggle, because the expectation is you do as you're supposed to do and you don't cause any waves. Now for children who are autistic, their mind makeup means that they see the world differently and they experience the world differently. So it's not an automatic assumption that they're going to do things the way that everybody else does it. Their minds are brilliant in that they're innovative and they think outside the box. But when you're raised in a culture that's not really encouraged, that can be quite difficult. And I think there is still a lot of stigma around autism. I still speak to families, professionals who still believe that autism is something that is contagious, that you can catch. It's something that a child has received because of the sins of the father or the forefather or the aunties. It's somebody's curse that's been put on them in the village. It's something that the mother ate when she was pregnant. It's because the child isn't being raised properly. And so there's a lot of barriers to the point that many families won't bring their children out. They won't take their children to family functions. They even something as simple as going to the mall as an experience, they won't do that, or they'll have to think twice about it, or they'll have to plan ahead very, very well on how they're going to manage those experiences. And a lot of that is because of the response of other people. And the response can be very, very negative. And people feel very, very confident to say out loud some of the negative things that they're thinking and feeling, which as a parent, it's very, very difficult to receive. You know, to bring your child into a space where people are going to reject your child consistently all the time is very, very difficult. So I think we have a very, very long way to go in terms of demystifying what autism is, removing some of that stigma, and creating a culture where we are not so judgmental and we're not so quick to condemn, but rather we develop curiosity and we actually speak to the families and the children to hear from them what they need and what will support them in whatever aspect of the journey they're on.
Thank you very much. In light of the fact that the journey to overcome this or do better as a society is a long one, how do you see you start that, or how can Ghanaians do better in reducing the stigma that is associated with children with autism?
I think it starts with education. We need to educate ourselves better. We need to not rely on the stories that we hear, but we need to read the research, the data, the information. There's so much information out there. And you don't have to search hard for it. You know, most people have a smartphone now. you just need to Google, what is autism? You know, what causes autism? We don't have a concrete answer of what causes it, but even when you read the response, you'll see that it's not some of the things I mentioned, it's not the curse, it's not an illness, you know, it's not something contagious. So educate ourselves in what it is that we're talking about. And then if you know people who are autistic or have autistic children, speak to them. You know, often people are really scared to even mention the word. They might know somebody and they see the child and they think, oh, I think that child might be autistic. But they will never say anything. They'll just stay away from them. They'll not talk to them, or they'll be really awkward around them. So actually, if you have people in your family, in your friendship circles, speak to them and find out from them. Find out who their child is, how, you know, what makes them happy, what are their interests, what do they do, how can you support them as a family, and do they even want to be supported? Because some families are very self-sufficient and are able to, they've had to be, because no one else is around to support them, you know, so they're very self-sufficient. So they may not even want any active support, but even you just acknowledging that you're aware is powerful. So education, and let's stop being scared of the word autism and stop being scared of autistic people, because they're not coming to harm us. We have to understand that we communicate and we think differently, and that's okay. And just because we've been so used to one way of being doesn't mean that another way is terrible, or, you know, we just have to understand that there's a different way. And that's to be celebrated, and we need to include that in everything that we do.
Thank you very much, Justina. There's a different way to approach this. And I'd like us to engage the audience now, if you don't mind. If there are any questions from the audience for Justina on the topic, please feel free to just shoot up your hand and we will give you the platform. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for the education. I just want to know from your experience, are there differences in terms of behavior between male and female?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good question. So, is there a difference between males and females in terms of their presentation within autism? So historically, what we have is that most of the research and the data has predominantly featured white males. And so there isn't as much known about girls and autism, but we're realizing now that actually that's a big area that we need to look at. So there is a presentation difference, and it's part of society, because what happens is girls from a very, very young age are conditioned to behave in a particular way. They're conditioned to be carers, to be nurturers, to be functional. And so because they have these responsibilities placed on them, it's much easier for them to mask some of the presentations of their autism, because they become very functional. And so you don't see the overt behaviors that you would see in boys. So boys are very exuberant, active. You'll see some of the things that will make you think, oh, but you don't really see that as much in girls. And in saying that, the other thing as well is that because a lot of the research and the data has been predominantly undertaken on white males, what autism looks like for black children is also different. And then when you put that into a cultural context, what autism looks like for a UK black child and a Ghanaian black child looks different. So we talk about, we call it intersectionality. There are different sections of who we are that interconnect. So the experience of a black female Ghanaian child will look different to a black female UK child, but will also look different to a white female Ghanaian child or a white female UK child, and vice versa. So all of these things, your socioeconomic standing, you know, how much money your family has will influence your experience of autism and its impact. So if you come from a family that can't afford to access therapy, can't afford to access specialist provision and professionals, your child's autism will look completely different to the family who've got a speech and language therapist, who get ABA therapy, who go to a special school. So there are lots of factors to consider. And on top of that, autism is such a wide spectrum. So you can go from a child who's autistic and who is pre-verbal, so there are they do not speak, who could get to the age of 19, 20 and hasn't developed self-help skills, so they need caring for all the time, to an autistic person who, unless they tell you they're autistic, you will have no idea, because they can communicate well, they can build relationships with others, they can get a job, they can function in society, but there will be slight things that they need in terms of accommodation, but it won't be as obvious as somebody who has real physical needs or whose social communication needs are really strong. So there is a big difference in all of these different, so no two autistic people are the same, ever. And we have to remember that as well.
Thank you very much, Justina. There's another question from the gentleman behind before we come to the lady. And for those who are on the online platform, you can leave your questions in the comment section and we will come to that very quickly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My question has to do with the educational parts of these special ones. Often, we, the Ghanaian society, we tend to adapt or we tend to socialize when we are in one particular classroom. That is when we build a rapport with these particular individuals. So, and I believe that the methodologies in our educational structures may not favor them. So in this case, would you propose that there is a different school that will train or nurture these young ones, or they still have to join the usual educational structure so that we get to know who they are, how we act, and how better we can cooperate or build our rapport with them?
That's a really great question, and thank you so much for asking that question. So let me start from this premise. The fundamental needs of a child are universal. So every child needs to be loved, they need to be affirmed, they need to be celebrated, they need to be accepted. And so the education system that we have in Ghana functions for the vast majority, but it's not successful for all. It only functions for those who are able to consume vast amounts of information and regurgitate it out in an exam setting. But it's not conducive for those who are creative. It's not conducive for those who need assessment in another way. So we already have a system that doesn't work for everybody. And so when it comes to autistic children, you will have autistic children that can function in that. They can sit assessments and they can consume vast amounts of knowledge and regurgitate it. And you will have some that need differentiated teaching and instruction. I would say, rather than isolating autistic children and saying, no, you need to be somewhere that's just made just for you, what we need to do is cultivate an environment and institutions that are inclusive and that recognize that learning is diverse. And diverse learning benefits everybody. So if you are able to take assessments in multiple ways, through practical work, through oral assessment, and through written assessment, every child in a classroom will thrive because they will be able to tap into the one that works for them the best. If we can deliver that, we don't need to put children in special schools. However, because society is set up in a way that we don't really accept these children, special schools have had to be set up. And unfortunately in Ghana, we don't have many special schools because most of them are privately funded and they're really expensive. And so most people who need it can't afford it. And so if we had a system that we could provide better support to schools to enable them to make the adjustments that they need, both physically in the building, but also within their curriculum and also within their teacher training, we would see the difference, we would see the impact, and we wouldn't have to isolate children in the way that we do, which is why a lot of families with autistic children choose to homeschool. Because then they can give a tailored educational program for their child that suits their child, that's based on their child's interests, their child's strengths, and they see that their children flourish. And that's what we have now. We have that demarcation now, unfortunately. But I pray for a world where our schooling systems, not just in Ghana, but across the world, would recognize the value that neurodiverse children bring and will accommodate them by making sure the structures are inclusive and it's not just one way of learning that they expect everybody to fit in.
Thank you for the brilliant response. Just one more question from this lady, and then we will have to bring the session to an end.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have got 2 questions. The first one is, does the autism condition get better along the line? And the second one is, have you watched a couple of movies on autism or seen news items on autism or heard people comment or share their stories? You sometimes hear or see that children with autism conditions have certain specialties. When it comes to ICT, very brilliant. A movie called The Good Doctor, the popular one, see that he was very brilliant in whatever they had. So that accounts for that specialty when a child has an autistic condition. Thank you.
Okay, so when we understand that autism is a neurological makeup, it's how our brains are wired. It means that there is no cure per se. However, what we do know is that early intervention really can help children develop the strategies and the support that they need to help them overcome some of the barriers that come along with. So to receive a diagnosis of autism, you would have had an assessment in 3 different areas. One of the areas is around social communication, how you interact with other people. The other one is like how you process information. And also, my brain's not blank. Doctors here, I might have to text too. My brain's not blank. But essentially, in a nutshell, you have difficulty in these areas. And so through therapy, you will be able to develop language, you'll be able to develop how to interact with other people, you'll be able to develop skills in terms of your learning. So when you access those interventions early, it can really help you move forward. It's a lifelong condition to autistic people are. But as you get older, you can develop strategies that help you navigate some of the areas of difficulty that you may have. And for some people, that will mean that they have total independence in how they function. And for some people, it means they need some help. And for some people, they need consistent help. And every person is different in how that is. And in terms of representation, so it's great that we're seeing more autistic people on our TVs and in our shows and everything. It's brilliant. But what we're seeing what is traditionally called high-functioning autistic people. So high-functioning autistic people are people who are able to engage, interact with a level of independency. And when you say high-functioning, often people assume it means you don't need any help at all. But it's not, it just means that you navigate with a bit more independence. You might still need help, but you don't need as much help. So people then assume, oh, all autistic people are like this, right? But they're not, we're all different. And so an autistic person who has particular interests and particular areas of passion, cultivate that and develop an expertise in those areas. But it's because they've got a really passionate interest in it. And what you will find in neurotypical people is they were given the opportunity to harness their particular interest, you will find that they also will develop an expertise in it. And so I can't explain why autistic people have this propensity to be excellent in some areas, outside of the fact that actually how their brain is wired is allows them to really immerse themselves and focus on areas of interest, and they consume knowledge in a way that allows them to translate that into action and into skills. And so one of the things that I want us to learn to be able to celebrate about autistic people is the brilliance of their mind. They have brilliant minds. Brilliant minds. Unfortunately, society is set up in a way that we don't take time to seek that out and cultivate it, celebrate it, but it's something that we really need to start doing. I hope that answers your question.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Just very briefly your final message to the audience as we prepare to go.
Okay, so my final message is understand that autism is not a death sentence, and we all have a responsibility to educate ourselves and educate the people around us on what autism is and how it impacts individuals. No two autistic people are the same, therefore you can't treat everybody the same. So it's really important that you have the conversations with the people that it impacts and hear from them how they would want you to address them, to support them, and to celebrate them. And celebrate we must and we should.
Thank you very much, Christina. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. Let's keep the hand going. Brilliant engagement. Thank you so much for engaging us on this topic. We really appreciate it. Now we will have a break where we can have some snacks and some refreshments to rejuvenate ourselves for the rest of the day. The break is for 30 minutes. 15 minutes. So it's a snack break, not a lunch. All right. So once again, thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. Please give yourselves a round of applause as we go on break. Thank you and see you in 15 minutes. Thank you.
I haven't forgotten that. I just Wednesday is Friday night.
hope you enjoyed the snap. Many thanks to the organizers for the snap. It was really nice. So we would like to get the ball rolling with the final session of today's program with a video, which will then be followed by
theatrical performance by the drama team we saw earlier. Take your attention to the screen, please.
Supplements, diagnostic tests, and we recommend and prescribe holistic health plans. They are based on the 4 pillars, and it's preventive. Welcome to the lifestyle. I have a lifestyle where preventive health starts that gives supplements, diagnostic tests, and we recommend and prescribe holistic health plans. They are based on the 4 pillars, and it's preventive practice, personalized practice, participatory practice, and predictive. Standing with these 4 pillars, we ensure that you have a holistic household to helping you with your health goals. Contact us on the numbers displayed on the screen and reach out to us on all our social media handles at Healthy Lifestyle everywhere. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere you find us. Thank you. See you again.
All right, thank you very much. That was one of the videos of one of our fundraisers for this week's celebration.
And now we continue to an exciting time that the University of Ghana Theatre students are about to give us. We are about to see a performance about female sexual reproductive health. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please help me welcome the drama team?
I bet you are worried.
We were worried.
We were worried about vaginas. We were worried what you think about vaginas. And even more worried that we don't think about them. We were worried about our own vaginas. They needed a context of other vaginas, a community, a culture of vaginas. They have so much darkness and secrecy surrounding them. Like the Bermuda Triangle, nobody ever reports back.
In the first place, it's not so easy to even find your vagina. Women go weeks, months, and sometimes even years without looking at it. A high-powered businesswoman was interviewed. She said she was busy. She didn't have the time. Looking at her vagina, she said, it's a full day's work. She said, looking at her vagina, you have to get down on your back in front of a mirror, that's standing on its own. You've got to get in the perfect position with the perfect light, which is then shadowed by the mirror and the angle you are at. You get it all twisted up. You are tired. She said she didn't have the time. She was busy.
So there were vagina interviews, which became vagina monologues. Over 200 women were interviewed. Older women, young women, married women, lesbians, Caucasian women, Hispanic women, African American women, sex workers, Jewish women. Okay, at first, women were reluctant to talk. They were a little shy, but once you got them going, you couldn't stop them. Women secretly love to talk about their vaginas. They were that maybe no one's ever asked before.
Let's just start with the word vagina. It sounds like an infection at best, or maybe a medical instrument. Hurry, bring me the vagina. 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 No matter how many times you say it, it never sounds like a word you want to say. It's a completely ridiculous, totally unsexy word to say. If you use it during sex trying to be politically correct. Darling, could you stroke my vagina? You killed the act right there.
We're worried about vaginas, what we call them and didn't call them.
In Great Neck, New York, they call it a pussycat. In Great Neck, New York, they call it pussycat. A woman there said that her mother used to tell her, do not wear panties underneath your pajamas. You need to air out your pussycat.
In Westchester, they call it a cookie.
In New Jersey, it's what?
A Mimi in Miami.
They are worried about vaginas.
Absolutely. Slightly uncomfortable. That's absolutely great. Thank you for that.
So we would like to introduce the panel for today's discussion on this very, very important topic. And I would like to introduce the moderator who will then bring on the rest of the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Eno Pavilion. She is the faculty of Talkative Mom and a podcaster as well. Please take your seat. A round of applause as she takes her seat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. So I have the particular honor of inviting my first panelist, who is Dr. Michael McCarthy. Doc, before you join us, I'll just like to share what you do. So Dr. Michael McCarthy is a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist with distinguished affiliations to the West African College of Surgery. His esteemed medical tenure has seen affiliations with global institutions from Hollywood Teaching Hospital to the University of Michigan. As the visionary CEO of Senel Specialist Hospital, he has spearheaded its transformation from a 15-bed facility to a premier 37-bed institution, earning recognition as the foremost surgical hospital in West Africa. In addition to his executive roles, Dr. McCarthy actively contributes to the Fertility Society of Ghana and has authored pivotal publications in the realm of women's health. With regular engagements on diverse media platforms, he remains at the forefront of advancing knowledge in obstetrics and gynecology. Dr. McCarthy is married and blessed with 3 beautiful girls. Welcome, Doc. The perfect person on our panel is a girl dad. Our next panelist, Sandra Asarewapua. Sandra is a registered general nurse who currently works with M Pharma Pharmaceuticals Limited, where she plays a vital role in providing quality healthcare services to patients. She is responsible for evaluating the feasibility of new products or services. Sandra believes in staying updated with the latest advancements in healthcare and constantly expanding her skill sets. This not only benefits her professionally, but also enables her to provide the best possible care to her patients. Sandra is an active volunteer of the Ruby Osmo Girls Foundation, dedicating her time and skills to make a positive impact in the lives of the girls and teens. When Sandra is not busy saving lives and working on exciting projects, you find her indulging in hobbies like watching movies and listening to music. Welcome, Sandra. And last but certainly not the least, we have Patience. Patience MC. I got that right. No? Okay. These words will come. Okay. Patience is a communication protege and sexual reproductive health rights and responsibilities advocate and consultant with a background in mass communication, PR. She currently serves as a project and community lead for Faith, Hope, and Love Africa. Her passion lies in advocating for young women and girls' rights to their bodies and their lives as a whole. Her goal is to be an advocate for girls and young women on the need for their human rights to be respected and for them to be given equal opportunities just like boys in the society. Welcome, Patience.
like to mention that the co-founder of the Autism Girls Foundation is also here, just in case anyone wants to speak with them after the program. Welcome.
So how does it feel like being the only male among females?
It's great. It's great. I'm usually the only male among females at work and at home. So I feel quite at home.
Thank you. So the University of Ghana, I think you'll be performing, yes. We'll hear a performance from you soon, okay. But before then, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what was shared, what was performed earlier on. The word vagina, I don't think it's embraced in our society. It's seen as a dirty word, but Doc, maybe you may have your thoughts on that. But growing up, I remember that my mom had a special word for it. So in our home, you don't say vagina, you say BB. So it's when you're little, it's small BB, and when you grow up, it's big BB. But I will say that it wasn't just vagina, it was the same with the penis. I had brothers. So penis was PP, so small PP, big PP. And that's just because I believe that she was uncomfortable with mentioning the word, and she, you know, in a society, when you say something like you're labeled as bad, like, oh, you're bad, why are you just saying the word more like that? So we have to polish it up in a way. Now, let me start with you. Why do you think that we are brought up that way? Where do you think that perception came from of vagina being more as dirty?
Right. Interesting question, and I think a part of it is from our culture, where it's not only the word vagina that is not mentioned, there are other things. When you want to say something that's a little bit very direct, very personal, and very strong, you sometimes apologize before you say it. You say, oh, please, if I may, or excuse me, I want to, even something very simple, you have to. And so that's where it comes from. So it's not just about the word vagina or penis. It just has to do because it's a very personal area. In fact, the students were saying that they couldn't even find their vagina. They had to go through a lot of antics to even find that. And so that's something really personal and something really. And so if you link that to our culture, you realize that, okay, so how do we get this thing set? And so that has now translated beyond the culture to our own personal lives, which is making it much more difficult to say the word vagina. I'm a doctor of the vagina because I'm a gynecologist, so that's what we have to work with. And so we have developed become accustomed to, but whereas most of our patients are not even used to directly even mentioning what is going on with them. They will not tell you that they have a pain in the vagina. They say, oh, I have a pain down there. Or I have, you see, they were trying to bring it up, and I think it's just how we're brought up. And partly with the culture, and it's just because it's a very personal area.
Alright, so just add to what Doug said. There's a cultural piece, and also we are not very outspoken as Ghanaians. I have friends who have traveled outside India, like when you go to class, the African students are always please, please. It's not that out there. So I think that also shapes us in a way that makes everybody be open. So we feel to say that you have to be in a private place to discuss issues of vagina or sex. And if you are talking about sex, you are seen as a bad person or someone who's cold, like you put. Yes. So our culture plays a part, and also how our parents bring us up. You are always told to maybe wait till an elder says something or instructed to do something. You are not able to use your own discretion to do something. So you feel I wasn't taught this, why should I talk about this? Or I'm not able to speak about this with my parents at home openly. So I don't think it's a topic I should discuss. I should wait till I'm 18 years old, grown and I'm not by my parents. I think that's it.
But Sandra, you're a registered nurse.
Yes.
So do you find that what Dr. Makati said is relatable with your patients as well?
Yeah, it's very relatable because the patient comes to your place as soon as I feel there's an age somewhere where down there I can't really tell, can you show it to me? I feel shy. They wouldn't want to like expose where exactly the thing is, or even what caused it. Maybe I had sex yesterday and I started feeling these symptoms. They feel if I tell you I had sex yesterday, you're going to think, hey, this girl is a bad girl. We have sex like they didn't even have some harassment. And also we distribute pads to young girls. We educate them to be open about even having pads in their bags. So when we even ask them questions and they're supposed to say maybe vagina or maybe my vulva, they can't say it. You see, they're all quiet, but when you say vagina, they're like, yes, that's the answer. But they can't really say the answer.
Now, patients, so you are an advocate for sexual reproductive health. How did you get into that? Like, were you just curious about the topic, or how did you get into that?
Alright, so thank you so much for your question. Mine is quite an interesting one because I grew up in a home where I was given the opportunity to explore. That's why I think my grandma.
An African home?
Yes, I stayed with my grandma. I was still staying with her. So she happens to be a midwife. She retired as a matron. So she gave us the opportunity to explore and came to a lot of things. So in my home, we are able to say vagina, in my home, we are able to say penis and all of that. So it was one opportunity I stood on to explore. And interesting enough, a friend of mine told me about, I don't know, PPH, Parents Association of Ghana, where they were looking for facilitators for their center. So I decided to take that opportunity after I was back in senior high school. That was way back in 2013. I was at senior high school, so I applied, and fortunately I passed through the interview stages and all of that, and then I had the opportunity to advocate for reproductive health and life. So I personally, it's been my upbringing and my social organization and how I grew up that gave me the opportunity to advocate for girls and as well as the community. I say this a lot, and young people don't believe, or a lot of people don't believe. I stay in Choco, and when it comes to Choco, the issues about reproductive health is, I don't really know how to put it, but it's not really a good one because you find young people engaging in safe sex, you find young people engaging in unsafe abortion. So it's like, this is an opportunity for me to do something and change the narrative in my society and the community as a whole. Yes.
So, but even in your advocacy, do you find that people find it difficult to mention the word? Do they view it as dirty and all that?
Yes. Not even the word. So when we go out there, we have page. Sorry about that. We have the page model. We educate people. We use that in education. Many people see the pages model, even with the news, they're like, hey, what is this? I'm like, you have it. No, you're not supposed to bring it out and all of that. So even seeing just the penis model, people don't want to engage, then how much more the word? So even with the word, you get a lot of people saying it. Like, just like Doc said, you always have to excuse or apologize before you say it. And that's my favorite.
So for the time, I would like us to move to second performance and then we'll react again.
Some of the monologues are based on one woman's story. Some of the monologues are based on several women's stories surrounding the same theme. And a few times, a good idea became an outrageous one. This monologue is based on one woman's story, although the subject came up in every interview and was often brought. The subject being
You cannot love a vagina unless you love hair. Many people do not love hair. My first and only husband hated hair. He said it was cluttered and dirty. He made me shave my vagina. It looked puffy and exposed and like a little girl. This excited him. When he made love to me, my vagina felt the way a beard must feel. It felt good to rub. It felt good to rub it and painful, like scratching a mosquito bite. It felt like the bones felt irritated. I refused to shave again. Then my husband and I failed. When we went for marital therapy, my husband said he screwed around because I wouldn't shave my vagina. I wouldn't shave my vagina. The therapist had a German accent and gasped in between sentences to show her empathy. She asked why I didn't want to please my husband. I told her I thought it was weird. I felt little when the hair was gone down there and couldn't help talking in a baby voice. The skin got irritated and even calming lotion wouldn't help it. She then said marriage was a compromise. I asked her if shaving my vagina would stop my husband from screaming around. I asked her if she had cases like this. She said that questions diluted the process. I needed to jump in. She was sure this was a good beginning. When we got home, my husband got to shave my vagina. He clipped it in a few times and there was blood in the bathtub. He didn't even notice it because he was so happy shaving my vagina. Then, later, when my husband was pressing against me, I felt his spiky sharpness sticking into me, my naked, puffy vagina. There was no protection, there was no fluff. I then realized hair was down there for a reason. It was the leaf around the flower and the lawn around the house. It was the leaf around the flower and the lawn around the house. You need to love hair in order to love the vagina. You cannot pick the parts you want. And besides, my husband never stopped screwing around.
Dogs, I want to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on what you just said?
I think it's interesting, very thought-provoking. Many things flash through my mind. Why do some people laser their hair? Why do some people come with bushy hair that we haven't put? What are the attitudes of vagina owners to the hair around the vagina? So these are the three things I want to just go through my mind. Typically, when I see a woman in my consulting room, she usually comes prepared for the vaginal examination.
What does preparation mean?
If you want to do a vaginal examination on a woman when she's not prepared, she decline. She came to the hospital, she was not expecting the vaginal examination. She would say, I'm not ready, can we do this another time? Okay. And so it tells me that women are very concerned about how they present their vagina to somebody else. Could be the husband, could be the doctor, could be the nurse. They are very concerned. We need to understand this concern. If you neglect the concern, then it leads to friction. I'm transmitting my knowledge from my consulting room. Let's take that to the marital home. A marriage is not a monologue. A marriage is a dialogue. you need to dialogue about even issues of hair. In this case, vaginal hair around the vagina. I think it's something that needs to be talked about by the couple. Shaving or not shaving, remove the hair or not remove it, does not solve the real problem of this husband. Even after the hair had been removed, he was still going out. So that was not the real problem, it was an excuse. And so sometimes the excuse is just, oh, it's not possible for us to do this, so let me just keep this excuse, so she cannot do it, and then I have an excuse. So, but if we don't dialogue properly and get to the real root cause of the issues, we'll never solve the problem. This was more about hair. The hair was an excuse. I think that women should be comfortable with how they are comfortable. I get different issues coming up, and sometimes I give unorthodox solutions.
Share one of yours.
So I met a young lady, and the challenge was recurrent vaginal discharge, which she thought was abnormal. And we did a lot of things, tests, and so on and so forth, trying to find out what was going on, therapies, and we were not able to solve the problem. Till one day I said, let us decide that we'll go without wearing underpants. Okay? Because when I interview and talk to you, you're comfortable in that state. And so we tried that for how long that was. We tried that she went about her day and her night without wearing any underpants. She was fine. She didn't complain of the discharge again. She didn't complain about the discomfort again. And that was her solution. Now she was hesitant to continue to apply the solution. And I had to encourage and say, no, this is your solution. Don't think that there's any special medication or special procedure we are going to do for you to solve this problem, because we found the solution. And that was the solution. So regarding hair, this was probably not directly about hair, but probably indirectly about hair, because you have the panty rubbing on the hair and have problems. So that may have caused a problem. So this should be individualized. People should feel comfortable. If you want to laser, you laser. If you want to clip, if you want to shave, or shaving cream, or whatever you want to do, I think it should be how you're comfortable. And if the other party is not, let's have a dialogue.
Thank you, Doc.
I agree with Doc. I'm saying that hair issues is basically biased. We normally attach the hair issues to females instead of guys. A guy would undress a woman and sit at the private practice, which can be like, hey, this woman, I don't think I'll be going back to her again. Or maybe she's your girlfriend, right? One or two things. Yeah, so I think it's biased, and we feel women should be extra neat. They should shave all hair, leaving their hair, just their hair. Even people shave their legs because the men don't want any hair touching them, but they are okay to have their hairs on them. So that is the bias. And also, the hair has its purpose. It helps prevent the skin around the vulva. So too much shaving could also breed like the friction between sex, and also it can make you uncomfortable. I know sometimes our bees trap the head and it's painful. That's understandable, people want to shave. And as Doc said earlier, it's individual. Maybe I feel if I'm having my hair, I'm okay, my bees, the hair is not trapping my bees, I'm comfortable, I don't have any issues, I'm able to wash down there without any smell, I'm okay. But someone feels that I have to shave everything because I feel uncomfortable when the hair starts to grow. And that's for, let's say, person A and person B, they are different. So I think it depends on every female, how you feel down there.
Yeah, Patience, before you answer, I also think it has to do again back to upbringing. Sometimes how you were raised. If your parents told you that you have to shave, it's adolescent, you start to see hair growth, shave your armpits, shave your vagina, you won't do that and you will grow up with this. I think it did this. When we're talking about hair, we focus on the fact that some men prefer to shave, but the opposite is also true, where some men also prefer hair, and then the woman may want a clean shave. You see, so there are these two sides. But I will come back to the document to you because I know that for childbirth, for instance, they insist that the vagina should be clean. So we'll come back to that again. So with you, patients, you said that your grandma was very vocal, especially when it came to private parts, vagina, and all that. So what was her advice, or how did she raise you in terms of hair, the perception of hair, should you shave, should you not shave?
Thank you so much for your question. For that bit, she used to advise us, and she still advises us on that. That as a woman, you're supposed to shave, as a man, you're supposed to shave, and all that. But just don't make the hair grow too much, where you get the trap and you get infections and all of that. That's according to her word. So for us, we are okay with shaving or not shaving, but the advice is don't make it grow too much. At the end of the day, when you get infection and you have to go to the hospital and then see a consultant or something, so just don't make it grow too much. Yeah.
So, Doc, is that true? Medically, should you shave?
I don't think it's a medical issue. I think it's a hygiene issue, a comfort issue, and a preference issue. It's like we have beautiful hair, and I have absolutely almost no hair. Like, on our head, and that's personal choice. That's how we want to go, and that's how we are okay. Same with vaginal hair or pubic hair for men as well. Medically, there are various things that go on. You need to manage your own hygiene. If your hair is such that you cannot manage your hygiene well, maybe your hair must go. I've met people who shave and they have a lot of problems. They have bumps, they have boils, they have ingrowing hair, and so on. And the therapy for them is, why don't you cut the hair short rather than shaving it off completely? And that solves that medical problem. So the advice was, okay, clip your hair, or you can let it go if you want to. And that was the medical advice, but that was because of the problem. Somebody comes and has a lot of odor, that's the person's problem. Odor that is not normal, that's not comfortable for the person. And then you say, okay, why don't we shorten the hair? Why don't you shave the hair? Why don't you take the hair away? Why don't you do something else? So it really depends on what's going on with the person. Can we make sure we get, reduce our discharge, reduce the odor, become comfortable, and really be happy with what we have around our vagina, so that we don't now have the problems of your beats are not working well for you, your panties are disturbing you because of how it is, discharge is clogging up on the hairs and everything. So it's not a direct health thing to shave or not to shave. It really goes down to the personal hygiene and how you want to keep it.
Sandra, have you ever been asked to shave a woman's vagina before?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes,
What was the reason?
And I think, yes, she was pregnant, and most of the time when pregnant women come in, they're supposed to shave.
Why are they supposed to shave? I'm always wondering.
Because the environment is sterile. Even if you're not going to, and this, let me compare this. So, cervical patients, maybe a bit of a surgery on your abdomen, we still shave the place. We can't see the small hair, but we still shave the area. So this is your vagina, and this is the place where hair grows naturally. So it's advisable to shave. We have a lot of fluid going on down there. It will trap some of the fluid. The baby is coming from the style to the outside door. So the place has to be clean. We are able to ensure that the place is sterile. So that helps us to do our work. So basically, we have to shave the place.
Thank you. Patience. To shave or not to shave?
I personally think it depends on the individual, and just like Dawn mentioned earlier, to shave or not to shave. So if you're comfortable shaving, why not? If you're not comfortable shaving, you can keep your hair. But the problem is, just like my mother told me, and that's what I understand, don't make it grow too much. Wait, because anytime it overgrows, I don't believe, we don't have a standard for measuring it overgrowing, but it should be like, are you comfortable with it like this? And just when your facial expression gives you out, it should be like, then I think you need to shave. So it depends on the individual. And just like Dr. said, your hygiene, like you have to be intentional about your hygiene. If you don't keep it brings a lot of infections. Like you've seen a doctor or consultant, then they keep saying, I shave, trim. Because I remember I went to the hospital some time ago and I was having issues. When I got the doctor actually told me never to use shaving stick again when I am shaving. And I think, so I use scissors actually. I have a personal scissors I use. So it's individual decision and it's okay, same that's what
And even sometimes the direction of which you shave, sometimes people shave it in a different direction, or it has an itch and all that.
Maybe the branch of vagina.
Yes, because your hair goes in a direction. Your hair doesn't come out usually 90 degrees from your skin. It comes out like a bundle. And I mean, you can use my if after the top of my head, and you see that the hair comes at a certain angle. It's the same way for hair around the penis and around the vagina. It comes at a certain angle. And so if you, so if the hair is going out this way, and you shave this way, you get a less abrasive shave. But if you shave this way, you get a very short shave, which goes a little bit below the skin, and you actually scrape your skin as well. And so you realize that you'll be more sore, more bruised. So you can study yourself and know which direction it's growing then. And they're not all going in the same direction, they're all going in different directions, different paths.
Yeah.
So you can work on that. But and the scissors issue, yes, it's a very nice way to go. Now there are a lot of caregivers that you can use. Oh, you could do that as well, yes. Some seem comfortable with that. I don't know how comfortable. I was going to say that you can use clippers as well. And they are smaller clippers. The ones we use for our hair, they're broad about 5 centimeters, but they're like half side of those which you can use for the intimate areas.
I think the most important thing is we do need to study our vaginas. I don't think enough of us actually take mirrors, I don't lay down there, especially with vagina. Well, let's say down there because that's where you know to kind of study your vagina and see what exactly is going on. I'm sure a lot of us don't even know the direction of which the hair goes.
You don't even know the difference between the vulva and the vagina. I would say that the vagina is inside, but people normally contradict the vulva with the vagina, but the vagina is inside. So let's say someone wears jeans and you see the vulva in the jeans and you're like, oh, this was the vagina. That's not the vagina. That's the vulva. The vagina is inside.
So what exactly are you shaving? Are you shaving the vagina or the vulva?
The vulva.
Also, this is supposed to be a vulva, no, not a vagina.
Technically, yes, but
okay. So please, let's have the next vulva.
My vagina is angry. Yes, it's pissed off. My vagina is furious and it needs to talk. It needs to talk about all the shit. It needs to talk to you. I mean, what's the deal? An army of people out there thinking up ways to undermine my pussy. Coming up with spending their days constructing psycho products and nasty ideas to undermine my pussy. All this shit they're trying to stuff up, clean up, shove us up, make it go away. Well, my vagina is not going away. It's staying right here. Like tampons, what the hell is that? A wad of dry fucking cotton that you stuff up there? Well, I don't think so.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to clean it up, make it smell like bathroom spray or a garden. But no, that's not how it's supposed to smell.
Why can't they find a way to subtly lubricate the tampon? As soon as my vagina ceases, it goes into shock. It says, forget it, it closes up. You need to work with the vagina. Introduce it to new things, prepare the way. That's what foreplay is all about. You've got to convince my vagina, seduce my vagina, engage my vagina's trust. You can't do that with a dry wad of fucking pussy. Stop shoving things up me. Stop shoving and stop cleaning it up. My vagina doesn't need to be cleaned up. It smells good already. Don't try to decorate it. Don't believe them when he tells you it smells like rose petals when it's supposed to smell like pussy. That's what they are doing. Trying to clean it up. Make it smell like bathroom spray or garden. All those douche sprays, floral, berry, rain. I don't want my pussy to smell like rain. All cleaned up like washing a fish after you cooked it. I want to taste the fish. That's why I ordered it. Then there's those exams. Who puts them up? There's got to be a better way to do those exams. Why the scary paper dress that scratches your tits and crunches when you lie down so you feel like a wad of paper someone threw away? Why the rubber gloves? Why the flashlight up there like Nancy Drew working against gravity? Why the Nazi steel stirrups? I mean, cold duck lids they shoved inside you. What's that? My vagina is angry about those visits. It gets defensive weeks in advance. It won't go out of the house. Then you get there. Don't you hate that? Scoot down. Relax your vagina. Why? So you can shove me cold duck lips inside it? I don't think so.
But why can't we find some nice, delicious purple velvet and wrap it around me? Lay me down on some feathery cotton spread. Put on some nice, friendly pink or blue gloves and rest my feet in some fake harvest stirrups. Warm up the dark leaves, work with my vagina. But no, more touches. Dry weather fucking cotton, cold dark leaves, and thong underwears. That's the worst. Thong underwears. Who thought that out? Moves around all the time and gets stuck in the back of your crusty butt. Vagina is supposed to be loose and wide, not held together. That's why ghettos are so bad. We need to move and spread and talk and talk. Vaginas need comfort. Make something like that. Something to give them pleasure. But no, of course, they won't do that. Hate to see a woman having pleasure, particularly sexual pleasure. I mean, make a nice pair of soft cotton underwear with a French tickler built in. Oh my God, women will be coming all day, coming in the supermarket, coming on the subway, coming happy vaginas. They wouldn't be able to stand it. Start seeing all those energized, not taking shit, hot, happy vaginas. If my vagina could talk, it would talk about itself like me. It would talk about other vaginas. It would do vagina impressions. It would wear Harry Winston's diamonds. No clothing, just there, all dripped in diamonds. My vagina hope release a giant baby. It thought it to be doing more of that. No, it's not. Now it wants to travel. Doesn't want a lot of company. It wants to read and know things and get out more. My vagina, it wants sex. It loves sex. It wants to go deeper. It's hungry for death. It wants kindness. It wants change. It wants silence and freedom and gentle kisses, deep liquids and deep touch. My vagina, it wants
This time I want to start with questions. Patients, what were your thoughts? Being an advocate, first of all, and then hearing that, what are your thoughts?
So personally, I like the whole. I know a lot of people were a bit uncomfortable about it, but I really like it. And as women, it's true, our vagina wants everything as women. It wants that love, it wants that affection, it wants that care as women. So, and also as women, we have to, I don't know how to say, but sort of like worship our vaginas. We're not supposed to be putting like stuff in our vaginas and things like that. So, as women, we want that care, we want that love, attention. And we are also supposed to be intentional about our hygiene, worship it, and let it be that central, like the kindness sort of. Yes, so that's what I think. I'm so comfortable with it. I enjoy every bit of it, and I'd love to hear more of it. Yes.
So before we move on, so during your advocacy, what exactly do you tell these young ladies about their vaginas, about sexual and reproductive health, and all that? What exactly do you tell them?
All right, so for young ladies, personally, and then for the group I work with, what we do most of the time is to advocate for bodily autonomy. So we tell young women that you are responsible for what happens to your body at the end of the day. You are responsible to make your own decision and choices when it comes to your body, which your vagina, your vulva, every part of your body is inclusive. So if you want, an example would be if you want to assess family planning, it is your sole, not really your sole decision, and you have to communicate with your partner and have like an agreement at the end of the day. Just don't let the man decide for you, because at the end of the day, if you have a baby, you are the one who's going to carry it at the end of the day. So we advocate for them to, and then empower them to speak up with issues regarding their body. And then also, what we also do as a group or as a young person is also when we speak to the ladies, we try as much as possible to speak to their partners as well. So we put them as allies for change. That we live in a world where everything is rapidly changing. Men have to have the voice, speak out, and all of that. But it is not possible when we are sidelining the men, when we are not engaging the men. So basically, what we tell women is to have that body autonomy, determine what is best for them at the end of the day, and then make decisions with regards to their
body. The monologue was very interesting. It really spoke a lot. So, in as much as we have to pamper the vagina, these are some of the reasons why people are buying these medications to make the place smell nice and use a whole lot of stuff. So, it needs to be pampered, but we should be careful of what we are using down there. And then, as we have these shapes, we have vagina length. So we have people whose vagina length is very short and very and those who are long. So if let's say your partner is someone that is long and yours is short, you might be having some problems. It's not that your vagina, like they're having, I don't know how to put it, but you're not compatible because his is long and yours is short. So that's the issue. And also with the menstruation, we basically talk about menstruation. So we don't usually talk to the children about vagina because they're supposed to abstain from sex. So the way to only educate them on is how to keep the place neat, especially in your menses. Because there's blood coming out, they're supposed to wash the place well, so not to leave any smell down there after your menses. And also advising them to shave the place. And also knowing the kind of pads they use. If you get irritations when you use the pad, you should try and change it. And not use these labels, vagina washes. They are too young to be using those things, yes. And not even too young. We as adults, we should not also start doing those things because they alter the normal flora in the vagina. So that would rather make you go to infections. The infections they are trying to prevent, you're rather like going to get them because you change the whole setting of the vagina.
Thank you. Doc, have you ever heard of Kayamasa? Are you familiar with things that women would apply down there to attract men, or they say it makes sex nicer, man? Are you familiar with things like honey and?
Yes, I meet it all the time. In fact, it's a big problem. My teaching is that, what I teach is that just leave the vagina alone. Let it clean itself. It's been constructed to do so. There are special bacteria in the vagina. Your vagina is not sterile. It's not sterile. The urine is sterile. The vagina is not sterile. It has bacteria. It has some special bacteria there that help to keep the vagina healthy. Those bacteria generate a little bit of acid, and so it keeps the environment inside the vagina a little bit acidic. And most bacteria that can give a disease, that can give a problem, cannot survive in that kind of space. And so that keeps you safe. And now, when you start washing, when you start douching, when you start putting chemicals in there, things to clean, things to change the smell, things to change whatever, you are now washing out those bacteria. And then you start having bacteria that are causing problems for you. You see, so that's the basic thing I teach. But it's not very easy to let that lesson be learned because it looks like the target cannot take that. You still want to do something. And when you bath, where do you clean? What do you clean? As a woman.
Your entire body.
You clean your entire body. You clean the hair-bearing area. The hair-bearing area is called the vulva. Okay. Has hair from the top to the bottom. You have two different types of lips, as we'll call them. A bigger one and a smaller one. You notice that the smaller one doesn't really have hair. The bigger one has the hair, so the hair is on the bigger one. And on the Mons area, I think one of the actors mentioned.
You know, some people here have my hair.
So the hair is only there. It's just like the men. The men, you have hair on your Mons. The men, you have the Mons, the same space there. You have hair on your scrotum, you have hair on part of your penis, but not all your penis. The same thing, and they're not going to be the same because so once you understand that, you're washing the hair-bearing area. Wash the hair-bearing area with soap, whatever you want to wash it. It's hair-bearing area, you have to get the hair cleaned. So if you don't wash it, you don't have to wash it. So when we're talking about this, we're not talking about that area. You can clean in between the folds because you have some debris in there, some discharge gets stuck in there, and so on. You can clean in between the folds, and then the opening of the vagina. The vagina actually, as you said, is actually moving from there. So the vagina is pink, and then the other is your skin color. Okay, so you have skin, and then you have the vagina itself, which is actually epithelium or much thinner type of tissue than the skin. It's not as strong and as resilient as the skin. It usually has a different color. And you can actually see the demarcation if you look carefully. You can actually see the demarcation where the skin ends and where the vagina and epithelium starts. And that goes in. Now, it is the inner part that we don't want to wash out because that's where the bacteria are. And that is which part is supposed to clean itself. But you can clean the outer part, which is the hair-bearing area, and the folds between the lips. Then you should be fine in that way.
So you're cleaning with just water?
You clean with water, you clean with soap.
Soap?
How are you going to wash your hair without soap?
Yeah, because I find, sorry, I'm using this as a consultation, but I find that I react a lot to soap. Like even if I'm bathing and just a little bit goes into, I don't know if I call it vulva or vagina at this point, but I start to react. I start to itch.
So that skin where is actually bacteria. We need it inside or outside.
I think inside.
Okay, that's it. But then they're going inside.
You've passed the hair-bearing area.
Okay.
And so that the pink area is more sensitive. So salt water, they all irritate you. But the hair bearing area from the bones down, you need to get that clean. Remember that just like you have special glands in your armpit, which have hair, and they have special glands which produce an odor. That's how they have been made. In the vaginal hair bearing area, and that's different from the hair on your head. The hair on your head doesn't cause an odor. It actually, the hair follicle doesn't have those strong glands. It has the intimate area. And so it's also going to produce an odor. Just like the armpits. We put deodorant in our armpit, but we don't put deodorant in the intimate area. Yes. But the hair still has to be washed properly. It may not be soap, it may be shampoo, it may be whatever you want to use that is comfortable for you that you can wash, is what you're going to use to wash the hair bearing area, because it's just a guideline for you. But you're not going to now put your finger inside or put one of those things, they have some little tubes, or even the one that they press, the bent one, you all of things, you wash
But people swear by it and they say when you push it in there, something comes out of it. So what is that something that is coming out of it? And you see you feel relieved and the vagina smells better and all that. So like that.
Okay. I don't dispute what they feel personally, because they may be more comfortable and so on. But the research shows that if you do douching, so you're not cleaning the hair bearing area of the vulva, we are putting fluid into the vagina, putting our finger into the vagina, washing it out, and all those things. That's what we call douching. The douching can result in pelvic inflammatory disease. It can lead to vaginal infections like candida, bacterial vaginosis. It can even lead to infertility. It can lead to premature labor. It can lead to colonization of the endometrium with bacteria. Endometrium is supposed to be sterile, sorry, we're going technical. It can lead to premature rupture of membranes during pregnancy. You can lose the pregnancy at an early stage. So these are research proven things. Okay, but we're not saying that when you may not feel comfortable, you may not feel nice or whatever. I don't dispute that. If I try to push something that has a scent or an odor, that's how you smell. And if it's a pleasant odor, now obviously you will smell pleasant. But the thing is that you've washed out these bacteria. Now, the next discharge that is coming is not going to have a very nice smell. And so you let it get comfortable for a short while. And then after a day or two, the discharge that comes doesn't have a good smell anymore. And then you have to push again, and again, and again, and again. And so then it becomes a cycle, and then it depletes all their bacteria. So sometimes what I do is I treat them with the bacteria that are supposed to be in the vagina, in the pesticides with that bacteria, to repopulate the vagina. And then after it takes a bit of time, some weeks, and they become much more comfortable. The second point I want to talk about is that vaginal discharge is normal. Hello. Vaginal discharge is normal. Yes. We have been brought up, maybe you will talk a little bit more about this. We've been brought up that when you say discharge, there's a problem. Or that's what do you think? When you say discharge, then it's abnormal, there's a problem. And it takes the consultations that are the longest in my clinic are those that come with vaginal discharge, trying to convince them that the discharge is normal. And I know I never succeed. Don't go to another doctor. Because sometimes when you do all the checks and everything, you know that that discharge that the person is feeling is having is a normal discharge. Now, if it is normal, you cannot get rid of it. Whatever you do, it's going to keep coming back. But let's remember, it's a cycle, so the discharge changes, little whitish and more sticky, and just before the period, during the period of blood, and that the other blood, brown, different things are mixing up. And then when all that cleanses, it becomes white again, and it's not really stringy. It's just like pieces, like a little bit. It's not water, it doesn't run down your leg. Okay, obviously that discharge is running down your leg. or the child that is really steady or planted in the whole place where they have a problem. But then when you get to around ovulation, it becomes very much clearer and stringy. You can pull it, quite long, isn't it? Quite long. And then, but all those things are normal. What is changing during the month? So you see those changes, and then you see those changes and say, no, there's something wrong. Yesterday it was not like this, today there's a problem. We shall sex that night, and this night, oh, there's a problem. And it becomes challenging for us even to understand that this is normal. It also changes with age. When you're younger, you're different. When you're middle age, when you're getting married, also different. So, and let's embrace vaginal discharge as normal. And understand when it becomes abnormal. If it now has an odor that is not as it's supposed to be, or the quantity is way different from what it used to be, or it's not coming at the right time, then you would probably have something that is abnormal.
Thank you so much, John. We'll be moving to the final one, but we'll be able to one again. But patience. Sandra, before we go to patients, what is the normal smell of vagina? Is there such a thing as a normal smell of vagina?
So, this question. I would say everyone has an normal smell. The smell that's abnormal to might be different from what patients might have. So, you have to notice all those changes. So with time, you know that, okay, it's all this way, but now this is what has changed and there might be something wrong. I can't really say that there's a specific smell because we all smell different. So that's basically about that. And also, you notice those changes because some people are so careful to the extent that there might be some change, but they've not even bothered to find out about it. It's nothing unless they start seeing the white, especially the white, chalky discharges, that's when they start to feel, oh, then this is some kind of discharge. And also, I think about the guys. Everything about the vagina basically goes back to what the guys complain about. Because if they sleep with someone and the guy tells the woman that, oh, I don't like this, she actually feels that, then I'm smelling bad. That might lead to the guy. Because they are not used to that smell, or you don't know how that person should smell. So you feel the smell is bad. But that's might be the lady's normal smell. So that will cause them to go for these vaginal washes to make the place smell nice. So anyone in their smell.
Yeah. But patients, this is my final question. Do you find that those in your community at your home are exposed to some of these products and they buy into it?
Yes, they are. And sometimes you come across one product which kills a lot of things, and then you are being told you have to apply it to your vagina. And even there's one, I'm not good at it, but me, like, I'm taking back my husband.
So you want the product?
Yes, so if your husband has a side or someone he's having an affair with, immediately you use that. That's why they are made to be given. So, like, there's really a high rate when it comes to using this product. You feel like it makes the place smell nice, it makes intimacy a better one. So, with the products, you get a lot in my community.
What are you doing to care of that?
So, personally, when I see these things, we go in the community, we engage them, we embark on outreach and stuff like that. But if I happen to be at a pharmacy or a drugstore, most of them are herbal places. So if I happen to be there and I see them purchasing it or buying something like that, I don't immediately tell them that because the pharmacist might think that I'm trying to take away their source of income. So I try to follow them and then speak to them. And what we also do is involve pharmacists. Once you involve them in all of these things, they feel like they are part of the solution and not the problem. So what we do is we give incentives out. So we involve pharmacists that once a girl comes to your pharmacy and she says she wants to buy this particular product, we are not selling it. But then refer the girl to us. Let us give the girl that education the information. At the end of the day, you are able to receive at the same time for doing that. So that's what we do. That's really interesting.
Invite the final performance of the vagina monologue.
This piece was performed for some time without any mention of childbirth. This was a bizarre omission. But then again, a male journalist recently asked, what is the connection? Our author, Eve Ansler, was present for the birth of her granddaughter. She was in awe of vaginas before that moment. She's in deep worship now.
I was in the room when her vagina opened. We were all there, her mother, her husband, and I. And the doctor from Ukraine, with her whole hands up there in the vagina, feeling and turning with her rubber gloves as she talked casually to us, like she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was in the room when the contractions made her crawl on all fours, made unfamiliar moans, laid out for pause, and stood there after some hours. When she just screamed something wild, and her arm striking at the electric air. I was in the room when the vagina changed from a shy sexual home to an archaeological tunnel, a sacred vessel, a venation canal, a deep well with tiny statues inside waiting to be rescued. I saw the colors of the vagina, the chains, saw the bruised broken blue, the blistering tomato red, the gray pink, the dark. Saw the blood perspiration along the edges, saw the yellow, the white liquid, the shit. Saw the cold pushing throughout all the holes, pushing harder and harder, saw through the hole. Saw the baby's hair scratches of black hair, saw it just there, behind the bone. A hard round memory, as the nurse from Ukraine kept on turning and turning her sleeping hair. I was in the room when each of us, her mother and I, held a leg, spread her wide, pushing with all our strength, pushing against her, and the husband, standing counting, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder. We looked inside her thing. We couldn't get our eyes out of that place.
We forget the vagina, all of us. What else would explain our lack of reference? I was there in the room when the doctor reached in with Alice in Wonderland spoons, and there as her vagina turned into a wide prophetic while singing with all her strength. First, the little head, then the grey flopping arm, the fast swimming body, swimming quickly into our weeping arms. I was there when I just turned and faced the vagina. I stood and let myself see her all spread, completely exposed, mutilated, swollen and torn, bleeding all over the doctor's arm, who was calmly sewing her there. I stood and my vagina suddenly became a wide red palsy heart. The heart is capable of sacrifice. So with the vagina, the heart is able to forgive and repair. It can change its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can ache for us and stretch for us, die for us, bleed and bleed us into this difficult wondrous world. I was there in the room. I remember.
Okay, so before we move to this, I actually had some thoughts on what we said earlier. And I realized that there's a business opportunity here where those who sell the insects, right, in the name of cleaning up the vagina, if you insert it and then a few couple of days later, there's a new smell, you will insert another one. Then, so they are triggering the smell and then they are, wow, what a business. Yeah. Okay. So that is why you end up depending on these products. Very interesting. Thanks for looking at my so now we're talking about maternal health, pregnancy, childbirth, and how the vagina expands and contracts. And I found it very interesting during my birth. Interesting is a very positive way for childbirth. During my first birth, the birth itself was traumatic, the pregnancy was uneventful. I think it was McCarthy knows. I'm one of those, he was my gynecologist. I'm one of those pregnant women that will sit still and then I won't come for the 4-week appointment. Sometimes I'll come 6 weekly. Things like watching on Instagram and this lady shows it. So my pregnancy is very easy, but the childbirth is usually traumatic, except the last one, I think at that time, I was probably a baby, so I can't But I was in awe of my vagina during the birth, especially because seeing a whole baby. And I remember wondering, how will the head come out of this small hole? But somehow it was designed in such a way that it can expand when it's expands. Unfortunately for me, I suffered an hysterectomy, so I still had to cut. But that was only because I had been in labor for so long that now I had lost steam. I didn't have the energy to push. But even that, still having a whole baby, the head coming out first, the shoulders was what I was like, okay, the head is big, but the shoulders are broader than the head. So what's going to happen? They were able to wiggle the shoulders in such a way that when you pull the baby, I still remember how it felt like it was a lot. And I went through dark times during that, just healing the vagina. But seeing it heal and come back to normal was a miracle, honestly. To me, I was like, this is shocking. How is it possible that this vagina went through all this, then months and months of healing that even sits? And then now today I'm actually sitting, I mean not just that, I actually have 2 kids after that, now I'm sitting. Like, how is it possible that this, they go through all these things and then also have sex, and to me, it was actually during sex that I realized that the vagina had gone back to normal because they had expanded before, and I knew what sex felt like. And now I'm like, oh, it feels different. Then after a while, it came back. If I didn't come back naturally, you do have to do giggles. But anyway, so that's my little monologue. Anyway, but yes, I want to move to. So you're a gynecologist. I don't know how many beds. I can't even imagine. Lots. And then your wife. I'm hoping I know your wife's a gynecologist.
Well, I'm at home. You tend not to be the doctor at home. You tend to be the husband. So you'll call for another doctor. They'll say, get us a doctor.
Yeah. But you have seen vaginas, you have seen it expand, contract, all the issues that it comes with and all that. And what are your thoughts about the process of, just the expansion, contraction, all that? What are your thoughts and how does it come about? Like, how are we able to, how does the vagina go through all that?
I think it is actually amazing. I think it is amazing in the way the vagina is able to work and function this way. We need to understand what the vagina is really made up of. It's like the way you need to understand that a penis is not a bone. You see, you may perceive that a penis is a bone. If your perception, your perspective is just that. But when you understand that, it's tissue, it's blood vessels, it can become small and it can become way bigger, depending on the circumstance. The same way for the vagina. It's not just a hole. It is actually something that has been constructed in a specific way, and it has its layers, and it has its parts, and it has the way it is constructed to function. So let's say, oh, my vagina is big or this vagina is small. You may think it's big or you think it's small because of its temperament at the time, its tone at the time, in the way it feels at the time, you know. So it's all tissue and muscle. And you know how muscle is. Muscle can be built up, become much stronger and firmer, or it can relax. And when it relaxes, then it's able to open up. And the tissues are also able to make it such a way that they can stretch. And then after we stretch, they need some time, and they will rebuild, remodel themselves, build themselves back. And then the muscles too. Sometimes the muscles can get torn. And that is why sometimes there are actual tears, and sometimes we do an episiotomy, and sometimes try to prevent them tearing at certain places. Even let's not go technical. So because it's a muscle, it's able to stretch. But when you stretch a muscle, you must stretch a muscle slowly. There's something we call precipitate labor. You know, an hour or two and the baby's out. In fact, you really get time to get to a place where you can deliver, the baby's already out. And those women will deliver in the car, will deliver quickly at home when they're not expecting to, or they get also deliver at the entrance. Because the labor is too short. And the problem with that is that they tend to get a lot of cuts in the vagina during delivery. Same size of baby and all that, but because the delivery was too quick, it was not able to open. And so when it's opening slowly, and the muscles are being stretched, then it's accommodating. And it's stretching, it's accommodating. So it's able to relax because the baby's head comes slowly. But the baby doesn't come straight. The baby comes in a rotating manner. Okay? It's like when you're trying to do something straight, it's more force and friction. Okay? But when you want to put something in with less friction, what do? You go like that, isn't it? There's some kind of, so the baby's head goes in across like this, but actually comes up like this. So it goes in there and rotates and turns. So that's all part of it. So the stretching is part of it. The rotation movement is also part of it. And then the baby itself folds up. The skull becomes smaller because there's some spaces in there, so those bones join together, and if it's a severe case, they actually overlap a little bit. But we don't really want them to overlap. And then folds up like that, and the way the baby is positioned, you see how they come like that? They are really folded in a particular way, and if your baby is not able to fold properly, you cannot deliver. And your baby will get stuck. To have many instances, the baby is just stuck just because it's not able to position itself well. If you had a bottom, you are coming out and you're still across, your leg will come out. It just cannot come out. It must have to turn. So all of these things are coming together, like the shoulders, you said, you know how the shoulders can actually almost come together like that. That reduces the diameter over here. So all these things come together to make the impossible possible.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, but it's interesting because I have realized things when I have a baby, I realized that on top of their head right here, it's really soft. So I knew that something is going on. Yes, really soft. And it's almost like you can hear them breathing here. I don't know if that's right here a little bit. So being a nurse, I realized that when it comes to childbirth and just the vagina as a whole, it's kind of linked to our brain, right? So let me give an example. When I said that I had difficulty pushing the baby, at the time I already told myself I can't do it. And so because of that, I just didn't have a smooth delivery. During my third, I remember I went in with the doula, and at the time she told me I have to surround myself with positivity. So words of affirmation, whatever I think that works for me, that makes me happy, I should think happy thoughts. Sometimes it's difficult during that time, but your favorite music, things like that can enhance your labor. And in my mind, I told myself I can do it. And that helped a lot. Do you find that nurses, I know you guys have been demonized, but do you find that you guys cause a lot of the delay when it comes to the childbirth, just some of the words that you say, some of the way you're shoving the mothers and things, you're not creating like an enhancing environment for the mothers to be able to give birth successfully and smoothly.
So, I'd say basically everything that goes on in our life deals with our mind. For you to even get healthy is your mind. Even to lose weight, it starts from the mind. Because you start taking the medications, you feel you're losing weight inward, and then actively you're losing the weight. So, I would say sometimes play a part in how the mothers respond to their labor activities. But as an individual, you should also set your mind. I know sometimes you can be in an environment that's more conducive to make you well prepared for all these, all that is going on. But you as an individual should also prepare yourself. I'm going to give birth to a healthy baby. I'm going to go through this successfully. And some of these patients are stubborn. Because when you're in labor, you're supposed to breathe through your mouth to aid the pelvic expand for the baby to come out. But you see people walking about, trying to lie on their side. That is also going to cause the delayed labor. So some stubborn patients, as I said earlier, as a result. And we nurses, we have to also play our part to be more understanding and know that the situation they are in is causing them to react that way. Even though being in labor or being pregnant is normal, when someone is pregnant, they are not sick. The way we see someone that is pregnant, this woman is suffering, so they are not sick. But the whole process is a bit tiring and stressful, so we assume that, it's some sort of a disease or something, yes. But if they are pregnant, they are not supposed to take it from there. We shouldn't always perceive that, someone is pregnant, so they are supposed to not do some things. That's the time we're supposed to be more active to be able to give birth to a healthy baby. So we have our part to play, and our mothers, our pregnant women also have their part to play.
So the answer is yes, you play a role.
Yes.
Patient, the same question, but sex. Again, women, sometimes the words that your partner will tell you, during my marriage counseling, our marriage counselor said, if you want, as a man, if you want to have sex with your wife, don't just come home in the evening and then just say, go lay on the bed and things like that. Start from the morning. So she calls it, actually, she said dawn, don't start. So dawn, the kind of things that you put in her ear when you go to work, the text messages that you're sending here, all those things are preparing her for sex. And I cannot speak for everyone, because a lot of people not there. But we are not just always in the mood. And I'm not speaking for all women. Let me speak for myself. I'm not one of those people that can just be in the mood just like this. You have to prepare me. And I'm one of those that any distraction, like that is it's over. Whatever is done, any distraction, that's it. So I find that again, the brain is linked to our vagina in a way, like the brain and also like our environment over here. It sometimes we talk about getting wet. Sometimes what you hear will get you wet, and sometimes what you will hear will also dry air you up. Yeah. So when you're advocacy and then also just education with the women and all that, do you go into details about things like this? Do they even know that that it's linked in a way and that sex is not just sex. You can't just lay down. I mean, you can, but it's not the most comfortable. Like, do you go in depth about like sex education and all that? Like, do you discuss things like that? Do they know?
Thank you so much for your question. So most of them, the truth is they don't. Most of them don't know. And like I said, most of them, it's just about their husband coming back from work and then having the sex, and then once the man is satisfied, then that's the end of the story. And what we keep telling them on the field is the power of the mind. It starts from the mind. Because even when you're giving them condoms, to practice safe sex, I mean, those who are not married and they are very sexually active, you'll be like, I can't eat a toffee with a rubber on it. Like, no, sex is actually a thing of the mind. It starts from the power of the mind. Once you have tuned your mind that you're going to have sex and you will enjoy the sex. And also for women, I know most of us are moved by what we hear. And it depends on what we hear and at the time we hear what we want to hear. That's a thing for women. So for going in there, yes we do. But then again, we look at the society or the community we find ourselves in. Sometimes you tell them they are like, you're telling our wives what to do, you're telling our children what to do, and they are polluting their mind. Because always, please don't beat me, I beg. But always, for the society we engage, it's like the men want to show that power, the men want to be in control. So they don't really care about what the woman feels. Once I'm done and I'm tired, I'm done with it. But then we try as much as possible to engage them and then have that one. Sometimes it's best when you have that one-on-one engagement with them. That is when they are able to open up. And then they are also afraid that probably a friend will hear something and then will be the talk of town. So they prefer you give them that one-on-one guidance or counseling. That is what they prefer the most. And then we try to separate the men from the women. That's one thing we do. And then we get them talking. And then we also tell them, just like I just said, it's a thing of the mind. Once you have it at the back of your mind, or you have it in your mind that I am going to have sex, I am going to enjoy, you will. And then the men try as much as possible to be that sweet darling for your wife. Be nice, be attentive, be careful, know when they are off, and then know what to do to put them back on track or in the mood. Thank you.
Also communicate. I mean, if there's sometimes women don't communicate what we enjoy. And then communicate, tell him maybe, oh, right there, no, things like I don't like it that way, you're too rough, like, and then the men also be a little bit more considerate. Like, it's not just about coming, sometimes allow it to come first. Or sometimes try to think about something else and then prolong it a bit. It's like communication, communicate and it will be beautiful for all of us. We really need to wrap up because it's something like
yes, okay. There's this movie on Netflix, Pleasure. I think it talks about the vagina. So the film music and watch it.
Pleasure. Yes. Pleasure on Netflix. Yes.
But you can still go and watch it for your wife or your girlfriend.
Yeah. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, them after. Yes, please, you're so sorry. You have to wrap up. Thank you so much. And a round of applause to Cecily. Hand over.
Quick announcement. I am allowed to show at the National Theatre in October. So watch out. Thank you.
What are what you going to the MC?
Thank you.
We truly appreciate all the speakers. Can we give another round of applause to all the speakers, session centers, University of Ghana Theatre students? We appreciate you. This was amazing. To the director of Vagina Monologues, guys, can you please give a round of applause? This was absolutely brilliant. I will probably be there in October as well to hear all 5+ vagina monologues. This was brilliant, it was amazing. Could we take our attentions to the screen for a little video interlude?
Welcome to the latest Round Academy. Ghana's foremost diversity. NSA, we believe in the power of nature, play, and interest-based learning to nurture the talents and potential of every unique child with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and special needs of any kind. Your child will step into our one-of-a-kind, eco-friendly learning environment where the great outdoors becomes our classroom and every child's curiosity is celebrated. We understand that every child has unique passions and strengths. That's why our interest-based learning approach honors each child's individuality, fostering a love for learning that goes beyond traditional methods. And this very core belief will span across all our therapy offerings, such as early intervention, ABA, speech, occupational, and holistic lifestyle treatments. Discover the difference at NSA. Enroll your child today and let their journey of exploration, creativity, and growth begin.
AfroPark is a company that gives tech entrepreneurs and creators the opportunity to showcase their businesses, talents, and skills to a wide audience through the events that we organize. My name is Imama Jenkins, Regional Partnership Lead at AfroPark, and I'm here to tell you about some of the events that we organize. We have a lot of events that are tailored towards tech entrepreneurs and creators. A lot of them are community-based, very unique, very niche, and tailored to whatever type of audience that you want. We also have events that are facilitated by AfroPark called the Powered by AfroPark events. And we are very, very open to anyone who is not in our network to still reach out to us for us to help them put on a successful event. The AfroPark Health Tech event, which takes place on 15th June, where we invite health personnel and professionals to have in-depth conversations on how tech can facilitate medicine in Ghana. We especially want to invite you to come and be part of our events. Come and have meaningful conversations, network, and build a brand.
Welcome to
Thank you all so much. You have been an amazing audience. I would like to invite the Ghana country lead, Doris Komla, to close us off with a beautiful remarks. But before she says anything, can we just give her a round of applause?
That was very kind of you. Thank you. So I'm happy to say that we've come to the end of today's event and the end of the entire Global South Arts and Health week-long festival. Woo! Let me tell you, this joy is because I can sleep now. It's stress. Oh my God, I can't wait to sleep. So I know you have people like, I'm happy for me. But anyways, to be honest, we are so grateful on behalf of Global South Arts and Health, Ghana Pavilion team. I especially would thank all of you for coming around. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing so richly. Thank you for giving yourself so selflessly. You have added so much color, wisdom, direction, encouragement through all the ways that you've served us from day 1 down to day 6. And even those who are not here, every speaker who isn't here, we appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up for us. Thank you for whatever thing you have sacrificed for us to have your time. We appreciate you. Thank you all. And then to our speakers here today, thank you all. Can we all just give a round of applause to our speakers? Thank you, Andrew. It was very interactive. everyone. Thank you so much. I was dodging the ball because I was all one place, but again, thank you so much for your time. Sandra, thank you. Patience, thank you. You need to know that some of them, like we met just talking right now, but then so much rich content. And I mean, this only happened because the Global South exists. So thank you for coming in. Oh, thank you. Dr. McCarthy! Hey! Dr. McCarthy came in first day, but I learned a lot from your time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Justina! Who else am I missing, please? Oh yeah, oh no, you know, okay, Prince was special attention, but then Prince, beyond his attention, has drawn our own attention to the volunteers coming from the University of Ghana. You guys and ladies are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you from our hearts. So pleased to what you did. Thank you. While you were going, when you were doing the performances, I got feedback from a lot of people, and I want you to know that you did something very impactful, and beyond people in this room, globally, they're going to watch you, and we appreciate you for your time. Round of applause for them again. Okay, and then my amazing youth, I would say they are beautiful too, because like their chemistry was amazing. Thank you all. I mean, thank you both, Jules and Whitney. Thank you so much for anchoring such a beautiful event. We appreciate you. Who am I missing? Afro Park, Irama, team. Oh my God, team Afro Park. Yele, all the names, Solomon, Mike is outside. Yele, I know you're in the UK, but I think it's not outside. So all the people, Oakley, Yele, who else? Demi. Yes, Demi, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And then our team behind the scenes in the US, Faye, thank you. Mr. Kunle, thank you. Any other person I don't remember, a special thank you to all of you. Dr. Karim, thank you, sir. Oh, he doesn't like the attention, but I'm always doing this for my team. And then a special thank you to Dr. Kwesi Aboy, who isn't here, but he was in charge of coordinating all of the art activities, sleepless nights, being a medical doctor. He literally ran double shifts the week before just so that he could be available for us. We thank you. Thank you so much. Tiapo Foundation team who anchored this stroke screening at Jamestown. Thank you all so much. You're amazing. My amazing Associate Country Festival Director. People know that when you do that, let's share it together. Oh, amazing lady. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a blessing. Thank you for your time. I know we did a lot of fights, but we had to so that all these people sit down here comfortably. They don't know about it. We're just so grateful. Thank you for all for showing up. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Just a quick one, please. The videographer will come just to hear your thoughts on a few things. So please indulge in 30 seconds, and that's it. And to all our speakers, we have a conference room prepared for us to take your interview, so please indulge us as well. And then, yeah, good picture, please. Yeah, we have to do that. If we all don't squeeze in there, we just use this front line business, just to save time, because this room needs to be taken for another event. If you haven't had, yes, they're going to have extra cheese for us. Something to take home with you, but thank you all so much for this. I appreciate you. Okay, it's a wrap. Now the day is over.
Hello everyone, could you please come forward so that we take the picture very quickly and then we go on this place.